the Chuffer busted you, caught you lying. You try to make out like Chuffer is obscene, but keep trying. You're bad dreaming. Your jelly and Chuffer is breaking the lies of fate, breaking the ice, telling it like it is. You're jealous, you're dreaming. Chuffer is the one who got the cream, and you can't stand that. Bang, I'm a cat and you just litter. You think you can win with your bitterness? I'm a critic, not a quitter. I'm too legit to let a nutter crack me. I see the truth and I'll keep at it. You could call me a monk, cause dunking on you is like a habit now. I walk in the light and you run with the rabbits in the shadows. Omar coming, see how the line narrows. Eddy playing sick games for sick reasons. These people have given up their souls, but I see them. They run shook when it's hunting season. They get cross cause this kills demons. They get cross cause this kills demons. Heathens serve forked tongue lies and tell you it's a wisdom, so you eat them. I see them in the videos, we've seen them delete them. Jesus, I know we defeat them with love, but I'm just a thug I'm being told. So I take on a lyrical battle and put Eddy in a verbal chokehold. I know we can't go toe to toe with a real lyricist. I like and bring the beats, but that's just a simple bit. He can't compete with the Chuffer when it comes to writing. Chuffer got the flow, Chuffer up in lights. Eddy written in biro on toilet doors in the middle of the night. He pretend to go to mass, but the only services he knows are where the trucks stop for gas. Although he might go to OTO for the satanic richation. Eddy rides trains but wishes he was on radio stations. I make tracks and lace them with facts he can't refute. He cries in AI cause the Chuffer speaks the truth. He's trying to make people feel uncomfortable supporting Chuffer, but it's useless. We stand together against narcissists and abusive losers. Eddy would be dangerous if he weren't so stupid. We all know what he did and he can't hide nor deny it. Lied about Nikki and crafted narratives that failed to fly. We don't buy it, but keep trying. Eddy playing sick games for sick reasons. These people have given up their souls, but I see them. They run shook when it's hunting season. They get cross cause this kills demons. Eddy playing sick games for sick reasons. These people have given up their souls, but I see them. They run shook when it's hunting season. They get cross cause this kills demons.
Chuffer up in lights, struck like lightning.
Chuffer keep winning, Chuffer legal, Chuffer high class, regal. Chetty stealing chips at the beach like a seagull. Little Kiwi, maybe see him on the farms. Eddy so low, he's underground like Folding's llamas. Eddy got to go, he's the source of petty dramas. Going on like a fucking teenager. He's more bitch than man, the original no-brainer. Chuffer be the lion and the tamer in the ring. Eddy stretching the truth further than arms of Dol Sim. We penned him, I guess he liked getting pegged as a liar. Square dicks in round holes don't fit so well either. I despise you, Eddy. You are the sickest sicko of them all. Tell us again how you recorded Moonoo Jean like I recorded you lying in that call. Tell us again how you went viral with the Selfridges prank, cause that was Tiny Tim's adventures you wank. And you just lied and thought we wouldn't check. You bet I did, it's what I do. You called me Scotty Poo while I shit all over you. You don't expose me, you just say yeah, but what am I? You are not witty, you are not funny. You're just a nothing guy who tells lies. Now your night shift is calling, the people are boarding, and I keep repeating you are boring. Chuffer spanks you. Speaking generally, Chuffer outranks you. Enjoy your red knickers, you Bakewell skanks. I don't need your thanks, I don't need you fucking admiration. I don't need to be on time to the station. If you wanna break records like Brian Harvey, you need dedication. Eddy thinking about Brian on his fucking vacations. Eddy's so far removed from reality, he gets anxiety from the separation. Next time I interview Eddy, it should be an interrogation. He can't walk a straight path, all he knows is deviation and deceit. He will have to beat a retreat because his meat doesn't work. I'm vegan, he's just an animal. Alan makes more sense when he's banging the tramadol. Eddy with his pissing again, but who cares? Eddy the only one who's mad is you. I seen you pulling out your hair in clumps, Humpty Dumpty. The rat ran up the clock and jumped ship into my kitchen. I'll feast on rat and pick my teeth with the witches. They can burn in hell while we fire up the beacons. They get cross because this kills demons. 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 Eddy playing sick games for sick reasons. These people have given up their souls, but I see them. They run shook when it's hunting season. They get cross because this kills demons. up their souls, but I see them. They run shook when it's hunting season. They get cross because this kills demons.
Bang! Fact.
I'm a cat.
Do's and don'ts.
I never went without a real drink in all my time in the Rovers. I never went without a real drink in all my time in the Rovers.
Now that is one true statement.
Oh, I did really good then. I was talking really cool. I was really cool with all my talking. I did like scratching. I was like, hi, it's Scott. A wiki fresh. It's your right ear, it's your left ear. Listen, I did it all. I said it's your right ear, it's your left ear. I said thank you to Red Fan for the tippies. I said something funny about the buttons are pressed. Ooh. Oh. Well, that's it ruined now, basically, isn't it? That's it ruined. Might as well just fuck it off.
Why does Scott always win? I'm crying tears of rage into my Bakewell Taurus.
This is your right. This is your right. This is your right ear and your left ear.
They are train tracks, not album tracks. The only number one is the platform I'm standing on my toddy, Eddy, on my tune. They are train tracks, not album tracks. The only number one is the platform I'm standing on my toddy.
I don't know why I'm hyping up Eddy. Like tonight, really, what I want to do is look a bit of Bob. To be honest, I've got Bob lined up for you. Got to enter into a body, my body. Oh, they're all leaving now. They're all going. Well, look at what Alan's been up to. I mean, he's still doing the grift. I want to show you some pictures of. I'll start off by showing you some pictures of Paul Arnott. How about that to get you nice and cross? And then I want to check in with Bob. I just feel like doing a Demons episode, just finding out what's going on in Bob. Said he's had Thanksgiving. He's dreaming about Marky Mark rapping. He's got a new video about his car. Like, I want to see what's going on in Bob's world a little bit. If you're up for a bit of that, I'll take suggestions in chat if there's people you want me to look at from our revolving carousel of nutters, chuffers. If there's people you want me to look at, I'll take suggestions in chat. And I wanted to show you these pictures. Someone's been on their holidays. Someone's been having a great time on their holidays. You know when you have a great time on your holidays? You know when you have a really great, you know when you have a great time on your holidays? Oh, that's fucking so hot that is, that cup. Can I... Let me make my chiffer. That cup was so hot. You know you have a good time on your holidays? Babysitting, it's like being a superhero. But instead of saving the world, I'm just negotiating snack time, which is... Or this one, meeting my youngest fans. Paul Arnott says, meeting his youngest fans. In the street at night time. In whatever bloody Southeast Asian country he's in at the moment. But he posts out of sync, so you don't exactly know when he is, where he is and whatever. You know, he's a bit of a... We discovered, didn't we? We cracked the fact that he was basically faking his online presence by recording things all and then uploading them later and saying, oh, today I'm doing this, but it might not have actually been today, you know. We caught him in a time circle, didn't we? Hope someone catches him in or something anyway. The, yeah, so...
On my tart. I'm not on the radio, instead I'm at the train station. get to talk on the P8 to tell them the next train is running late.
Because it's been quite a week, right? Really, hasn't it? It's been quite a week because we've. We'll have a look at what Kung Fu Kev's been up to. Yeah, we'll have a little look. It's been quite a week because, like, this week, Eddy revealed himself to be a liar. I caught him in the lies. Like, you know, we can look over anything tonight. We can have a bit of a chit chat and a little look, right? He revealed himself to be a liar. You know, we went through it. Some of it's a little bit technical for some people. You know, a little bit boring and a bit technical. How did you record things in the 90s? Let's just say, Eddy, unlike everyone else where we had tape players, Eddy claimed to have the world's most expensive computers and studio equipment and claimed that they were using software that didn't exist. Eddy claimed to do things that couldn't have happened. Just like outright lied. So we had a bit of a go on that this week, didn't we? And that means that this stream, this channel, you know, I could have saved it up for not to watch, but instead I feel tonight now like just doing a sort of chilled one. We've had like a bit of a banger of the old dramatics, but I know that people want to see the dramatics and they want to see the fireworks and stuff like that. Yeah, Kev, I'll be cautious about new channels, let's just say that, right? Because I don't mind you shouting out channels that you see and, you know, things like that in the chat. I don't mind that. But every time I meet a new channel on YouTube, it's not happened for a while now, a little while. Shouts out to Blank Faces. Shouts out to Curious Cat. It's not happened for a little while. But I meet new people on YouTube and I say, oh, these people sound like nice people. Let's be supportive of them. And then what happens is they turn around and say, oh, I don't think hedgehogs are real. Or, I mean, that was the worst. That was a big standout one, wasn't it? That was the last one where I said, hey, I've had enough of this. I tend to have the kiss of death for new channels and things. So I've got to give it a good look first. I've got to have a good check, a good look. And then if I feel like bringing it to the show, I'll bring it to the show. But I've got to be cautious. They could turn out to be a hedgehog denier. Blank Faces isn't a hedgehog denier. Curious Cat's about to do a paranormal channel. We'd probably do a chat about it on the stream because I'm open-minded to ideas and stuff. So I don't think they're a hedgehog hedgehog denier. Like, I don't know if I should talk about that. Well, they've talked about it on the stream, haven't they? They've done some more serious investigation stuff in their time. So it's not just like, you know, hedgehog denial. But I just got to be careful about who and which and what. But yeah. So by request, right? I do listen. I will want to bring you God entered into my body. This is fun. This stuff. This is insanity of a new level. I could. Oh, why is he always so quiet? Oh, it's me. Hang on.
December the 3rd, 2024.
Like, we've been following Bob's story, right? I've been trying to get in contact with Bob. I've been trying to I basically I was leaving comments and he doesn't reply to any of them. But I really want to get him on the show. I think he thinks I don't like him, but I bought his book. I mean, I think he's a sexual predator that hangs around in the toilets looking for people like to have sex with. But yeah, I bought his book.
A dream that I had this morning. It was Mark Wahlberg.
Mm-hmm. You mean the dude from the Calvin Klein? Do you remember the Calvin Klein adverts? Do you remember we can watch some of that old Christmas video that I wanted to watch last week.
He was rapping. He can still do it. I promise you he can
still rap.
Still do it. I saw a picture of Marky or saw him singing or something. I don't remember exactly. I forgot about it until I just now went on YouTube and he popped up.
A picture of his car. Good shout, yeah. We'll get back to Marky Mark in a minute. This is. I mean, you can see it at the top there. This is his new car. This is the thing about it. This is his second vehicle that he's done this to.
Greetings. God entered into my body like a body my same size, like me floating into you or you floating into me. That's the Holy Ghost baptism in Acts 2:38 in the Bible. That's the biblical born-again experience. You're not born again.
I've got a serious question, right? John Wedger says he's born again. And I'm not dissing born-again Christians in general, right? But John Wedger says he's born again, which what he means is he doesn't ascribe to the Catholic or like Church of England or anything like that. He's like fuck you, normal God stuff. I'm doing my own God stuff, like my way. And Bob talks about being born again, and what he means is that God entered into his body like a body the same size and tore at his face and needles into his gums and made him do sex acts. So I don't think God is inside Bob's body. I think whatever is inside Bob's body is not God. But it has inspired him to write Emmanuel, God with us, Acts 2:38 on the side of his car. And God rips my face, shoots bum disease in mouth, appears, laughs, and tears on that other window. That's what that says on this window. It says, God rips my face, shoots bum disease in mouth, appears, laughs, and tears. And then it says, God entered my body as a body. He hasn't managed to fit like a body my same size, which is a bit weird. But, yeah.
And unless you've had this experience, if you're not born again, you're not a Christian. If you're not a Christian or born again, you're not saved. Does all that make sense? Anyway, the Bible says that if the gospel be hidden, it be hidden to the lost. Now, you
Right.
can read the Bible.
You can indeed read the Bible. It doesn't say anything about painting God entered my body like a body my same size on the bonnet of your new car. But Bob wrote a book. I've got it kicking around here somewhere. It's quite like the Bible insofar as it's got lots of God sort of words, but also it's quite like the incoherent ramblings of a madman. And he wrote it, and I bought it. So, yeah. Well, I say he wrote it. It was like a gift to him from God, and he just was interpreting it and like writing it down. And it was actually written by other people, like in the voice of other people, anyway.
Lots of things in there. But how to be saved is hidden from you. But
This is a new video of Bob's. This is from 2 weeks ago. So like he is like, we're keeping up with Bob here.
really, it's in there. It says in
Ooh.
Acts 2:38.
God entered my body as a ghost body. World's only Holy Spirit filled man. I see non-stop visions. So he's got the classics up there on this side, the classics.
It talks about being filled with the Holy Ghost.
I mean, it's going to affect the resale value somewhat, but
Now, God is the ghost. That means filled with God. Anyway, I'm on a mission to make this whole planet know what the Holy Ghost baptism feels like. And the Bible requires it. Jesus said you must be born again of the water and of the Spirit. The Bible says if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. So are you in the none of his category?
so it seems really above like board in terms of like he sounds like he's preaching gospel and stuff, but when you get deeper into it, I mean, this one, for example, I mean, he's written on it, like, his words, done some of those, words, the writing that people do with the letters and words. He's written, if you can see that, he's written, I love sex, but he's actually censored the word sex. He's put a dash instead of the E, because we've got to be careful with these ones as well. The other days, Willie was poking out. I always thought it would, but the other day it did. So we've got to be careful. This one says, I love sex, come get on it.
Entered into my body, like a body the same size. Today is December the 4th.
And it's hard to hear what's going on because he's in this basement room with, I think it's the heater on, doing his exercises.
2024, and I am looking for a job. I'm not looking real hard, but I probably need to look a little bit harder than I am. But something will pop up that I need to take something that I want to keep. I've taken jobs that I did not really want, or I wanted when I got, but I didn't want after I got, because the hours were too long. Anyway, God entered into my body like a body in the same. Greetings, it's December the 3rd, 2024. A dream that I had last night, this morning. It was Mark Wahlberg. He was rapping. He can still do it. I promise you he can still do it. I saw a picture of Marky or saw him singing or something. I don't remember exactly. I forgot about it until I just now.
Eddie's on this level. Eddie Brown, the fake man off the internet, the fake man, Eddie fakes, Eddie Brown, faking the ice. Eddie fakes. We've got faking the ice. Eddie Brown is on a level with this man.
Went on YouTube and he
Both demon possessed nutters.
popped up. Anyway, in the dream, he started rapping and he started singing again. And he wasn't at the first part of it like he used to be. And then 20, 30 seconds into it, I guess he fired up, he turned on, he got into it. He started singing exactly like he used to sing. But the thing is, his voice didn't sound like it sounded, 30, 40 years ago, however long ago that was. But the moral of the story is...
I think I can hear people coming. Oh, he cut off. So the moral of the story is, and he cut off. What? What? Bob has a way of like drawing me in and then cutting me off. Like what did happen with Marky Mark in your dream? Did someone come in the toilet? Because he did that one from the toilet. What's this? This one looks. This one looks.
Into my body like a body my same size. It is December the 1st or November the 31st, 2024. It's one. I don't know which one it is. I'll find out tomorrow. Anyway, I started riding a bike today. I only rode it around the block, but
I presume he's recording this in his phone. It's got like a calendar on it. You wait till tomorrow to find out what day it is. I don't know why, but these little things about Bob tickle me.
I already see a difference.
I mean, I'm really scared of him, obviously. But
a difference. Gosh. You can take weight loss tablets, exercise all day like I do. That's running sprints in the bathrooms of restaurants and libraries and gas stations.
he uses the bathrooms to run his sprint exercises, which is something that troubles me because he does do a lot of activities in the bathrooms, and it makes me think you probably in the future just want to go in there, do the bathroom business and leave. Like, you don't want to be using it as your like gym facility. Other people want to go in there and just go to the toilet. If I went in the toilet and Bob was running his sprints, I wouldn't even wash my hands. I'd just leave. I'm not unzipping my fly. I'm not going to the toilet. I'm leaving. I'm finding another bathroom. I don't need to go to the toilet where a man is running sprints. Like, well, suddenly I don't need it as much. I'm not.
Working out during the commercials, sometimes working out the entire show, or just ride the bike 20 minutes a day and forget all that. You know, riding the bike is the hardest, but it's also fun. But
so these are exercise tips, but he's doing it like in the basement with the scary thing behind him, like looking like Hellraiser. Like, what? I don't want to take exercise tips from Bob.
the payout is the best.
The payoff is the best. Okay, what's this?
Power of advertising on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh my god.
The ad got over 35,000 clicks, views.
I'm sure your advert for your former vehicle, the car with all the painting on it, God Entered My Body car, that car's up for sale in America, right? So I'm sure that when people are looking at Facebook Marketplace adverts for cars, this one with God Entered My Body Like a Body My Same Size painted on the side does attract some attention. Don't know how many offers you're going to get, but
Advertising on Facebook Marketplace.
he's got it up for $1,900. I feel like I should buy it and just keep it somewhere. I mean, what is that in English money? That's like, £1,200. I could just buy that, and then we'll park it up somewhere by the side of a motorway or something. Can you do that in America? So big ups, Joe. Is there anyone in America in the chat? Is there any American, like Dover and Dolly's mom, you're in America, aren't you? Do you know the rules? Like, can I just park up a vehicle by the side of the road somewhere, like an advertisement, and just leave it there? Or will they tow it? Because I feel like if I buy it, I'm not going to be able to do anything with it. I don't want to bring it home. I just want to park. I'll say to them, can you drive it to so-and-so, park it and take some photos and leave it there? And I want it to become like an internet monument where people drive past it and go like, what's that fucking weird car with that on it? You know? Big ups, Joe. You're banned from driving. What does that mean? That's bad. That's bad. You can't imagine getting that kind of money for it. Well, it's got God entered into my body like a body paint, my same size painted on the side. So, you know, maybe there's someone out there who doesn't want to bother painting God entered into my body like a body the same size on the side of their own car. Anyway, look, Paul Arnott's having a good time, isn't he? Look. Paul Arnott's having a great time on his holidays. So, we've got that. We can always feel good about that. Well, I don't feel good about it. I feel really bad about it. It goes in with Alan, doesn't it? With Alan, Armchair Detective, and his sort of... do you remember when he went on holidays to Thailand and had a picture with that lady boy? Anyway.
Yeah, it got over 35,000 clicks, views.
I suppose it's marginally... It's marginally not as... Alan's marginally better, isn't he?
For 35,000...
No, because he did those Singing with Kids on Smule. That was awful. And he said mother licks cun off daughter's face in the YouTube search, didn't he? Do you remember that? That was bad. And he also said...
there is no child porn on the internet. I hate to warn you that. There is no child porn on the internet. I checked.
He checked the internet for... so... I don't know. Anyway.
1,000 people read the message painted on the van. God entered into my body as a ghost body my same size. Period. Ain't that...
There you go. God entering into your body like a body the same size, and you've got your vehicle on the internet. Did it sell? It said marked as sold. No, it says marked as sold. Like, that's what you've got to choose to do, is it? Is it sold? Did he say it's sold?
And God entered into my body as a ghost body my same size. Period. Ain't that... Here I am.
You didn't explain it.
Over 35,000 people read the message painted on the van. God entered in...
Oh, I see. Look. What he's saying is, because he's put it on Facebook Marketplace and it's been seen 30,000 times, the message has been read 30,000 times. So that counts as a win. Like, it's like free advertising for the message. So... I see what he's saying now. I see where you're going with that, yeah. Okay, Bob. Okay. Thanksgiving for Bob.
God entered into my body like a body the same size. It is November 27th, 2024. Heel jogging in place is excellent, if you can only do it. Anyway, it's kind of boring, but it's good workout. This is the funnest time of the year, because this area of the year, we've got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. 4 holidays. There might be more newer being created. But anyway, it's fun during the holiday season.
Why are you wearing a shirt?
It's fun looking forward to it. Sometimes when it arrives, it's just not that big of a deal. But it's fun having it in it. Anyway, have a good...
Bob did the old shirt lift. Did the old tummy reveal. I do that sometimes. I do the tummy, don't I? I do the tummy reveal, but I do it in a bit more of a comedic way, I hope. Like, what happened then?
4 holidays. There might be more newer being created. But anyway,
it's a bit sad, isn't it? Because Bob spent Thanksgiving in his basement running around on the spot like he normally does, but... I suppose he did dress up for it.
During the holiday season. It's fun looking forward to it. Sometimes when it arrives, it's just not that big of a deal. But it's fun.
It's quite trim. That's all that running around. That's all that running around. Does that to you. He's done a couple of videos here, look, where he's upstairs in the rest of his house, so you get to see a bit more of his house. Which...
Same size. It's October the 20th, 2024. My birthday is on Halloween.
He's up against the fridge there.
I want you to celebrate my birthday by going out.
I forgot his birthday was Halloween as well.
And put on costumes and collecting candy. Anyway, God entered into my body like a body my same size. It's October the 20th, 2024. My birthday is on Halloween. I want you to celebrate my birthday by going out and put on costumes and collect.
Got a lot of cups, hasn't he? And a really big fridge. Mind you, I bet every American's got a really big fridge, haven't they? I bet that's just normal. Oh, this is a different room, and I'm quite struck by the fact that the door handle over here Is that just, you know, when you touch something regularly and the paint wears off? Is that what that is? Or is it something else? And on the wall, we've got what I think are calipers. Is that what they're called? They're like a measuring tool, like an iron measuring tool for farming or something. Is that what that is? I don't understand.
God entered into my body like a body my same size. It is October the...
We don't usually get to see this part of his house, do we? So, I mean, that's... Why doesn't he do more things in this part of his house instead of the basement?
20th, 2024. My new job is long hours. Long runs. Gosh. One of the runs is 623 miles, and that takes a long time to do. If you drive, you can imagine that. I only offered the guy part-time. I offered him 2 days.
As he says, he goes driving across Illinois in the big truck as a freelancer. So if you live in Illinois and you see a big truck pull up at the truck stop, give him a honk honk, because
We can rest on volunteer, and that is just thrown completely out the window. So I reached out to another FedEx contractor. He's going to call me tomorrow, is what he said. We'll see. If he calls me and makes me the offer I want 2 days a week and a rest on volunteer basis, then I am going to.
I love the way that if Bob called you up about truck driving and you ran a truck driving recruitment company, he might sound quite lucid because he seems to know about like 2 day rest stopover, you know, seems to know about that. And I mean, there must be some sort of, I mean, maybe they're desperate for truck drivers or something. There must be some sort of minimum requirement that he passes. Like he's got his tickets, he's got his license, he can turn up and drive the truck, and they give him the job sometimes, don't they? Or quite a lot, because that's his profession. So like, he doesn't manage to fuck that up too bad, the old driving the truck. But the rest of it, like this behaviour, something's going on there. I like these ones where it's his face, like when he's in the cellar and like he's got all this weird stuff going on, you can't hear him properly, it's harder to deal with. This one he's facing front. What's going on here?
God entered into my body like a body my same size. It is September the 26th or 27th. It's Friday. Hurricane Helene is over, but the damage. Anyway, I'm starting out late. I had to come back. Anyway, I'm kind of leaving again late, so... well, anyway. There's a lot going on out there, and something will find. God entered into my body like a body my same size.
That didn't work for him. He couldn't keep his thoughts in order when he was looking at the camera. It didn't work for him. So let's have a look at this one. Oh, this is a mi Dios en cuerpo.
Dios entró en mi cuerpo.
He's learning another language, but all he's learning to say is God entered into my body like a body my same size.
Como un cuerpo mi mismo tamaño, el bautismo de Espíritu Santo. Gracias to all amigos in South America. I don't speak Spanish, I'm so sorry. But I can sing Spanish. Do, right, da, get a little higher. Low, right, da, get a little lower.
Do 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 do. Oh my God! Why is that Spanish? Why is that Spanish?
Get a little higher. But I can sing Spanish. Right, get a little higher. I don't speak Spanish, I'm so sorry. Do, right, da. But I can sing Spanish. Low rider, get a little higher. Low rider, get a little lower.
What are you doing?
Hey, the Andy Cole.
Me and Bob would get on. If he was driving the truck and he just started going low, ra, duh, and I'd come in with do, and he'd do it as well, and we'd both be doing it. And then I'd just be like, hang on, pull over. What am I doing in the truck with you, you fucking nutter? Let me out, though.
But I can sing Spanish. Do, ra, duh, get a little higher.
Do.
Do, ra, duh,
I know it's childish.
get a little lower.
Do.
Hey, did the Indie Colts win? Get a little break. Get a little break.
What?
Get a little break
Oh, you spoiled it now, Bob.
from me.
You spoiled it at the end now. I don't know what happened with that.
Greetings. God entered into my body like a body my same size. It is October the 16th.
These videos, I always wonder where the fuck he is. Like what he's doing. Like, he's wearing his high vis, so I think he's probably out on the job now. And like, it's dark and it's night time, and he's outside. And I always wonder, like, have you, like, what? And he says, your church will begin to empty if they find out about me. Which sounds like a threat, if anything, Bob.
Take 2024. Do you know that churches are in danger of closing down if just a message about me gets inside of it? Not what God is doing to me. God has done some pretty horrible stuff to me. I can't tell in the video, but I've got it painted on the van, and it is in some of the other videos. But people, when they find out what the Holy Ghost baptism feels like,
Of course, it was the chord version.
they'll know they don't have it. They'll seek it for a little while, a little harder after they find out, but then they'll stop seeking altogether because they'll know that God never had any plans or intentions on saving them. Anyway, you want to see a church close down? Tell them about me.
When you see a church close down, tell them about me. Sounds like a threat. Oh, he's got this really weird relationship with God, hasn't he? Where like he really believes that like God's like talking to him, but also like the God that's talking to him is really threatening and aggressive, and like does bad things. Oh, this one looks interesting to me.
Greetings. It is September the 11th, 2024, and I'm on the brink of going to work for a FedEx contractor.
I think we saw this one, didn't we? The extreme dancing. He keeps there's an overlap in the content, isn't there? There's an overlap. I can't remember, when I last tuned into him and what he was saying, but he was having trouble getting a FedEx contract, wasn't he? What's this?
Greetings. It's July the 13th. Today, the strike has been removed off of my YouTube channel. I'm inside an empty trailer running, and God told me not to do it. Now,
Well, if God told you not to do it, why are you doing it?
does that mean that I disobeyed God?
Yes.
He also told me about 200 miles into my trip, 150, something like that, to turn around and go back.
No. God. Did you get that? Did you catch that? He was 200. He's doing 150 on a 200-mile round trip with it, like 200-mile trip. He's 200 miles into his trip. He's 150 miles into his trip, and God told him to turn around and go back. Like, now you're in the shits because it's your job, and you're doing it. And you're 150 miles into it, and you've got to disobey God. You must be having a right problem.
Now, why would he want to run me like that? Would you know?
Yeah, he works for FedEx.
Please.
Not delivering the parcels. He works part-time, like, independent contracting to drive the trucks across Illinois, like the big trucks at night time, with all the big things on the back. He's not delivering any parcels to your house, but he doesn't work directly for FedEx. He gets like contracted.
Give me an answer. Is God a type of spirit that wants to ruin people and make them live ruined?
No, God is not the kind of spirit that likes to ruin people. You've definitely not been talking to God if that's the, like, this has confirmed it, if anything, for me, that that's not God you were talking to.
So they turn on him. Backslide. Fall away. The Jesus game. The God game. Jesus Christ was a man that had God inside his body.
What?
But Jesus Christ was praying and he said the name of God was Jesus.
That confirms it. Bob is wound up. Oh, do you remember the one where he found the rabbit? This one's scary as well for so many other ways, isn't it?
While I was riding my bike last
No, that's definitely someone's pet rabbit. That's not a wild rabbit.
night, I made a new friend. This rabbit didn't seem to fight me when I went to pick it up. And normally they would run. But this one was a little bit different than all the rest.
Am I right in saying that? Or in America, like, you know, do you get wild rabbits that are piebald? Like, it just looks like a pet rabbit to me.
Anyway, this rabbit, I see visions of God. And
Big ups. I don't think he's doing it live, is he? He puts them uploaded, but yeah.
God talks
I'll have a little look.
to me about this rabbit. It slept with me in the bed last night.
The rabbit slept with him in the bed.
Let's go over and kind of play with it just a little bit.
Let's leave it alone, eh, Bob? And we never found out what happened to the rabbit. Like, he just didn't talk about it again after that. So... But you see, this is Bob's page, this is Bob's channel, but God's so pleased with Bob, he's got more than one channel. And sometimes he uploads, like, to the other channel and other stuff. That doesn't look like it. I just need to check it, because I want to keep up to see... if I can find it. God came in my body as a body. Look. So it's similar, like it's similar, but it's different.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this.
The brand new official holy van of God travels the streets witnessing louder than any person, it says is the title of the video. And it's got music on it, so he's happy about his new car. So this is the same person, but his second channel, essentially. He's done a new video 2 days ago.
Greetings, God entered into my body like a body must.
Bob, it's really quiet.
December the 3rd, 2024. I'm the world's only Holy Ghost filled man. A billion will go to church and seek it on Sunday and won't get it.
Like, it's weird that he's got two channels and he uses the second channel like exactly the same way as the first channel. And for me to keep up with him and see what he's saying, I have to bounce around the two, isn't it?
I remember I was one of the seekers that didn't get it, no matter what I did, until I got it. And God told me the reason he chose me was because I had money. I worked. It wasn't given to me. Anyway, I see nonstop visions from God. Do you want to hear a word from the Lord?
Are we in a toilet again? Are we in the toilet in the library?
Tell him now, hear the word of the Lord. When I end the world,
What does it say? It says, please do not write on the... It says, please do not write on the walls. Sorry, I zoomed it in so I could see it, but it says, please do not write on the walls. What?
it will be a spur of the moment thing.
What kind of place has a sign that says, please do not write on the walls?
It will be because I get angry. Whoa.
On this one, he's got 4,000 on this one.
It's got
Subs. He's got 4,000 subs on this one. On the other one, he's got about 12 or something like that.
happy or semi-happy right now. But if he gets ticked...
He's been around the internet for a long time and other people have seen him a little bit, but he's one of my, long time... he's one of the earliest discoveries that I made in terms of like what I call nutters on the internet, isn't it? Bob's been on my revolving carousel for a while.
Look out.
I just keep up with him from time to time.
And why wouldn't he? I mean...
You can see why, can't you?
I'm equal to Jesus. I'm not saying I'm Jesus.
I imagine at some point something strange is going to happen because he seems to be on a very even keel at the moment, like it has been for a while. Like at the very start, he started out, right? Bob started out by... this is before the internet. Bob started out by texting people on his mobile phone, and what he did was he said, right, if you live in this area, your number is like 012456789, yeah? All right, and I'll do 012456789, 1 012456782 012456783 014, and he just changed one number at the end, and he did that about 2,000 times and sent text messages to random people saying God has entered into my body with body the same size, non-stop visions from God. And he was doing this on a one-to-one basis for people on mobile phones. And then the internet started up. YouTube came around, and he was one of the early adopters on YouTube who was posting things in a way. We watched a little mini documentary that someone else made about him, and like a really mini. He's like really like subtext underground on YouTube. Like he's not that known. And then he also there was someone that did an interview with him. Like they did like a Zoom call interview with him, and we've watched that. But like he's quite on the down low, especially he's trying to get the message out there and stuff. But I've tried to contact him and say, do you want to come on the show and tell me the message? And he won't talk to me.
But Jesus was a man that was created.
He's schizophrenic or something, do you think? Sorry, I shouldn't be disparaging and like comedic about mental health, but like he's on another level. Bob is like he's on a full-on another level. Like,
Created by a man. The Bible says that God overshadowed Mary.
And I wouldn't laugh at people with mental illnesses unless they're hiding in toilets trying to do sex with random fucking people. I'll be real. Like, not everyone's a pedo, but like, he did say that he was looking to try and find some children. One of the videos, didn't he? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, Bob, just like he should come with a warning label. The world needs a warning label. I'm watching in worried anticipation of something happening that's going to happen bad, but not, like I said, he seems to just be riding right on the edge of this like strange existence, and nothing seems to be falling off a cliff yet. But I half expecting one of these videos to just like pull up the phone and be like, hi, God has entered into a prison, like a prison my same size, and I'm in prison now, so like this is what happened. Like, I just don't, I don't know.
Now, how God overshadowed Mary was God was inside.
Bipolar, maybe. Like, I know an interesting maybe that's for another time. I know an interesting person that suffered with bipolar in my local area, and was like, there's some media made about them, but maybe like I'm not laughing at him for having mental illness. I'm laughing at him sometimes I'm laughing at him, sometimes I'm horrified by what he's doing.
Had a body just like mine, and that man forced himself.
Maybe in America. Sorry, hang on. What's he saying? The man forced himself. What? In America, maybe religious. Like, is there some like religious freedom, religious protection? Like, he keeps going on about God. Like, do you think he gets like, if it's his belief that this is the thing, does that mean that they don't treat him like he's like gone out? Like,
Mary. Now, how
the haircut is a full back comb from the back. He pulls the back all the way forward to the front. He's completely bald all the way to the back of his head about here, but he pulls that all the way forward to the front. Can you get sectioned in America? I don't know. Like,
God overshadowed Mary was God was inside a body just like mine, and that man forced himself on her. See, Joseph, her husband, thought about putting her away for that.
So he's just told me that God actually really was in the body of a man like him, and then he forced himself on Mary, which is pretty bad, because I don't think that's again, he's saying things that God, that I know, God would be pretty cross with, really, wouldn't he?
Now, would you put
That's a
your
bad thing to say about God and Mary.
wife away if you knew that God was the one that was in there with her? Some of you probably would. But anyway, that's how Jesus was created, and God was inside that body. God entered into that.
Like, when people in chat are saying that he's probably definitely got mental health issues, yeah, but like, okay, possibly, but also like his contention is that he's got a very strong religious perspective on things, and he really believes in this like specific version of like a religious God like thing, and like, like to a certain extent, like that's quite normal. not his reading of it, but having that sort of like belief and like you could sort of say, well, what's different from that and like a evangelical Christian, like
Body.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Yeah, should we have a little look at what Kung Fu Kev's been up to recently? He did say some stuff about Matt about having epilepsy, which I don't know if I should cover or not really, but that fight, if Matt's got proper epilepsy and the doctor won't sign him off to fight Kevin Street defence.
Oh yeah, I mean, 40 odd minutes cardio.
If the doctor won't sign him off, then the doctor won't sign him off, and I'm not going to be like putting money down so that someone can go to hospital guaranteed. That's no fun, is it? But
Game pie, never.
we'll have to look into it.
What was the Long Life Milk?
This is him live now.
Dan. Oh, it's just the Long Life Milk, green one. I'm drinking. I'm drinking plenty of milk now for protein. You see. Okay, they'll go on the scary.
Drinking plenty of milk. He's been doing a few lives from in the gym as well, like where he's been punching the bag. I think, yeah, like this. Or pushing the bag. Pushing the bag. And we've got well, this seems quite offensive. This one's called "Wank Stain Should Have Been Aborted Before Birth, Waste of Oxygen."
I've just been watching Mr. Bibby's live.
That's the person you were talking about in chat.
About me again. What's wrong with you, Bibby? Do you fancy me? Are you obsessed with me? You're a fucking twat. That's all you are, man. You can call me all you want. I don't give a fucking shit, boy. You can call me whatever. Take the piss out of me. Do you think I really give a rat's arse? No, I don't. All you are, you're a fucking loser, man. You're a scumbag. You waste of oxygen, and you should not be on this earth. That's what you should be. You're wank stain. That's all you are. I tell you what, you should have got aborted at birth, because you should not be on this planet. Because you're nothing. You're a waste of oxygen. That's all you are, right? You can take the piss out of me all you want. I don't give a fuck anymore, right? Take the piss out of me. Do your little live with little goons, your little subscribers, taking the piss out of me. Do it then. I don't give a fucking toss anymore, man. Say it to my face then, Mr. Bibby. I bet you won't say it to my face because you're a fucking loser. You're a loser, boy. That's all you are. You're a loser. Like I said before the other night, you're a fucking coward. You're a pussy. That's why you won't show your face on camera, you little pussy.
So, who's he saying that to? Bibby, who's another YouTuber, 948 subscribers, not even 1,000 subscribers. So, like, we're talking small, smaller circles, circles within circles, but could grow, I suppose. They do Kung Fu Kev videos and other sorts of content about people, but they also, look, this piqued my interest. Decker Heggie versus Danny Christie 2, who wins? That's Decker Heggie. I could tell you all about him. And they did a live stream, this one 20 hours ago, so this is probably what he's reacting to.
You just paid £2 to call him a nonce. No, I never.
What's that he's saying about nonce? That's a comment that he's got from no other than Karma Corner.
Man, I know you don't. What? Jesus. Oh. You just paid £2 to call him a nonce. No, I never paid nothing. I never paid him money.
Karma Corner. It's interesting. It's like, so, connections of connections of connections, isn't it? It's like 6 degrees of separation, because you go Karma Corner and you're talking about like the Sean Atwood trolls, the podcast wars, Decker Heggie, Darren G, like those days. For anyone that knows, for anyone that doesn't, you're talking about those days. You're talking about Brian Cockrell. You're talking about, you go back. Yeah, I imagine there are quite a few trolls. Like, this is weird, this is, Kevin, yeah, right? Because, I stumbled across, I don't know if it's algorithm, some of the stuff I watch overlaps, some of the stuff they watch overlaps, maybe, something like that. I'd found my Life of Matt through the algorithm a little while ago. But this little link, it might just be like, you know, serendipity. Is there a negative version of serendipity? But big ups Blank Faces. Like, I think you know what I'm like. Maybe, you know, maybe saying here a little bit like Karma Corner. And then you're talking about Dr. Rackpool maybe, because they do videos about Dr. Rackpool. And I've never watched a Dr. Rackpool, I don't think. But Dr. Rackpool, Darren G. I remember Darren G. talking about Dr. Rackpool.
What's going on, everybody? Vince Goodrum here.
So this video is from Vince Goodrum, who's recorded it. This is the way you collect a lot of this media these days. But like,
sent the message there. No, I hadn't heard about it.
So he's recording Darren talking to Dr. Rackpool.
What are you up? Well, imagine coming and watching someone's live but just writing shit. Must have said, lad, they're all fucked. Bev, MG, Leo. They're all mad, crazy, fucked up rats, lad. You haven't got it.
So what happened was, this is the way I'll tell you the story. You know, I've gone through a few degrees. You're probably thinking, what's he talking about now? What's Scott going on about, right? Check this out. Like, Sean Atwood, back when he was good, back when Wildman was alive, before everyone left him because he got caught with a prostitute and all of his backers and all the big people left him and all went off to be successful and he just got left with a load of shit, yeah? Sean Atwood, Darren G, this was like one of the original Sean Atwood podcasts that like was good. Sean actually took them down and re-uploaded them, so this wasn't 2 years ago that this happened.
Mind-blowing what he's been through.
But the original Darren G, podcast, Sean used to do podcasts with people who had been in prison and they'd come out and tell their stories.
But they've opened his wound again, wanted repaired, and he weren't that bad off it. He had a few problems, but what they'd done that night killed him.
So, like, hard-hitting true crime. Darren had actually come out because he'd been inside for someone who got murdered on his estate. He was in a drug gang. Someone got murdered. He did a retaliation murder, but Darren didn't do the murder. The person who got murdered was supposed to be him. There was a retaliation hit. He went to prison for a long time, came out, reformed, not going to do any more crime now, talking about choose a life, not a knife, Count Out UK, L5 shout. After doing this podcast, decided to do his own channel on YouTube, Darren G's True Crime channel. He had different names. And during that time, he did lots of other podcasts as well. There was like a war between the podcasts and the podcasters and the podcast hosts and guests. There was like 2 or 3 that had been people on podcasts and ended up doing their own podcast. And there was another guy called James English who did his own podcast. And there was like this whole true crime podcast world that exploded because Sean Atwood sort of was the first one to do big numbers on this sort of concept. And there were a lot of criminals and a lot of podcast hosts doing podcasts, yeah? I'm on the podcast. And during that time, there was also a huge rise in online trolling, and it seemed to be a war between James English and Sean Atwood to see who would win out and be the biggest channel and the best one. And as part of that war, everyone was trolling, or I say everyone, I'm not. All the people that were in there, like, whatever this was, seemed to be trolling. Like, Darren G would like get well eggy about it on his channel, as we're about to see. I was just showing you that video. And he'd get well mad with all the trolls. And as Kelly says in Blank Faces, trying to kill channels, they would work like a little gang to try and take down channels. And it would usually be a true crime channel that was on its way to growing. And they'd all get in there and troll the fuck out of it. Like, be mods, even some of them, like all sorts of stuff. And it would be like back and forth. So like Darren would get egged up about Decker Heggie, and then they'd all go and egg up Decker Heggie about Darren, and then they'd egg up Darren about Decker Heggie, then about Brian Cockrell. And there would be like the 4 or 5 of these channels that were smaller, not the big podcast hosts like Sean Atwood and James English, but on the next level down where they'd been on the podcast, they'd been guests, and they got their own channels. And they were smaller, and instead of them all growing and being a sort of community, they fucking tore each other apart. And instead of doing podcasts about true crime, they fucking tore each other apart. And that's what happened. And now Darren's on TikTok, and he still does talking into the camera on TikTok. Sean Atwood's obviously his story is a bit different. Like he went from being one of the one of the main true crime podcasters on YouTube with lots of viewers and regular success to being an absolute mess of a channel with loads of I think he gets fake views now. I think he just fake views. It's like churning out loads of bollocks, and that's because during this time when it was like the podcast wars, when everything was kicking off and all that, his friend and his good friend Wildman died, and it left Sean sort of rudderless and without an anchor. And during that time, I don't want to say anything bad, but like prostitute, she was like using the internet to sell herself for a sex worker. She fell into his life. Apparently she needed help, so he did a crowdfund for her, and they made money on a crowdfund, and Sean photographed her naked in his house for the sex work online, and that got out. People found those pictures, and then also he did a video with her where she was dressed as a baby, or he was dressed as a baby, I can't remember which one, and there were drugs out, and like that was like leaked out in some way, and that basically ended his podcast career on YouTube, because he was at the time working with another couple of people who were like helping him make the podcast and doing different work with him, a publishing company or something, and they all just abandoned him. Like they just walked. And he went from like, hundreds of thousands of views on a podcast with proper guests to just being donk on, fucked. So that was like this backstory and history of like this time on YouTube, yeah. And the best way of like, understanding it, like I said, is watching a couple of these videos where people, like I just showed you Darren G in a podcast talking like a serious person, yeah, and this is what happened when like the trolling was at its zenith, like this sort of stuff.
And show people exactly what you're about, you little mutt. Hurry up. Wow, imagine coming and watching someone's lad but just writing shit. Must have said, lad, they're all fucked. Bev MG Leo, they're all mad, crazy, fucked up rats, lad. They haven't got a life. Haven't got a life. Slung one, you're right, mate. He's not honest, they're no over 60s allowed on it. Trust me, lad, they're on everything where they can get access to kids and women.
Darren was quite intent on the idea that a lot of the trolls were career criminals. I say career criminals were like, as he says, rats, because he thought that at the lower end of the food chain, I've got no idea, yeah, but he thought at the lower end of the food chain, he'd been in prison for serious business, and he thought that when he came out, the serious crime gangs in his area, he was basically going after them, saying their bad things about them, and exposing things on the internet, saying choose a life, not a knife, trying to like clean up crime in some way. And he reckoned that like a load of bad criminals didn't like him, and so they basically got a load of rats, like low-end drug people, and paid them in drugs to troll him, so that he would have like this army of trolls constantly going at him. I don't know which of the people, like whether Dr. Rackpool is considered one of those to him or just generally a rat, but he actually phones this. Basically, like what happened is you'd have, it's like this strata. Do you know what, like it's like this layer cake, yeah. So at the top you've got Sean Atwood and the proper podcast that he was on, and then underneath it you get people like Darren who start their own YouTube based off the back of that. I've been a podcast guest, now I've got my own channel, I'm going to do some talking. And then underneath it you've got the people who troll that channel and have their own channels creating content about the content. Like trolls don't make their own content, they watch other people's content, and like like I did with Alan, like to a certain extent, yeah, like reacting, detracting, but there's another like sort of like lower level of it. Like I think I would count myself as a critic rather than a content farmer. Like I never went to Alan and like made him do anything so that I could then have something to say. Do you know what I mean? Like farming content and like going somewhere so that like creating this drama. So what the I'd call them like maybe parasite channels in a way, but like I've got to be really careful because I know that like with Dark Side Phil and all the detracting we do, like we might even fall into this sort of category ourselves a bit. We milk the lol cows, I guess, but there's a more like the lol cow world, and what I'm talking about here is slightly different in that what I think I'm talking about here is slightly more sinister and slightly more mean-spirited, and like, I don't know, I just get a different vibe from it. But it's almost like a similar sort of vibe, maybe. But anyway, so yeah, so there's a collection of channels that like then talk about Darren and other people and make the videos based off when Darren loses his temper. They make a video to react to it, and they're like a group of people who have been on the internet for years now, absolute years. They might know each other a bit and not a bit, and come and go. You know, there might not be an official like mandate and a team meeting, or it might be like Darren says that someone's paying them in drugs to fucking troll or some shit. I don't know. Maybe Sean Atwood and James English each had their own version of a troll army at one point. You know, maybe just the people just are, or maybe people are just fucking nutty trolls. But there was like quite enough of them. Like big ups, you know, you've heard of Danny Christie then, yeah? Like he had a fight with Decker Heggie, didn't he? Back in the day, do you remember that? Like, and they were completely outmatched weight wise. And Danny Christie smashed his face in, and also got a bit of a pasting too, in terms of like, you know, it's a bare knuckle, isn't it? So your face is going to get beaten and bruised. But I think Danny Christie got the better of it. Yeah, like those were strange days, like on YouTube, like I said. They were a long time ago now, though. Those days on YouTube. But I suppose for me they feel like that because I'd stopped watching all that shit and don't care. But maybe for others they seem like a bit more recent. I mean, Darren's not on YouTube anymore. He's on TikTok, I think. And like, you know, Sean's fallen into his own groove, like off the path that he was on, but into his own groove now. I don't know. I just felt like all that had calmed down, but maybe it isn't, you know, maybe it hasn't. But how strange. Like the reason, I'm going to watch this video now and you're going to find it a bit out there, listening to Darren shout and yell, and it's not Darren at his best, I'll tell you that. But it's a good example of what was going on. We'll have a little look at a couple of these examples because they're fun. But I would also say, what was I going to say? Yeah, isn't it interesting the way it came up? Because we've been looking at this Life of Matt. I'd bumped into Life of Matt on the streets of YouTube and thought he was, you know, we'd looked at him on Twitch and said, you know, this guy's making these vlogs. He seems like a nice enough guy. I'm not going to troll him, but you know, he's come up on my algorithm, so to speak. I've been keeping an eye on him, and then his beef with Life of Kev connects to this and this world of people.
Trust me.
Or at least the people that watch Life of Kev and make content react videos about him are also connected to this group of people, or maybe even just their audience was. I mean, I don't know if Bibby themselves is an old content creator. I'll have a look in a second. Actually, I'll just do that now. Is Bibby, or I mean, they deleted all their old videos, most of these people, as we just saw with Dr. Akpol. But is Bibby's videos oldest? Well, yeah, we saw Decker Heggie versus Danny Christie, didn't we? So they obviously are, even if their videos are not about them and they haven't been doing it a lot, they obviously are, you know, well into and understand all of what I've just been talking about and what you've just been saying, you know. Yours is a parasite channel. Well, in a way, like Battery Exhausted could be considered that, couldn't it? Like reaction content. But I think I think there might be, maybe even within reaction content, there's like layers to it, isn't there? Because like what goes on here is very not so much. I mean, I've just literally today opened up Bibby, so like I'm not really critiquing Bibby specifically, but you know, in the world of Dr. Akpol and others that were just like trolling Darren to get content, or even not so much to get content, but they just enjoyed the fact that Darren was losing his shit. You know, it was like that was the entertainment, and some of them would clip it and put it up, like, and then there was a bunch of channels that were sort of like, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, how do you think I'm watching this now, all these years later, without Darren having left his own channel up? I'll say this, right? Darren and me probably don't have the same political opinions or some shit. Like, you know, who knows? Like, but I still think he was quite. I had a lot of respect for him as far as once he's come out of prison, he's tried to do good things and not just go immediately back to a life of crime, or like, you know, he's tried to resist against any sort of you know, affiliation to gangs and doing drugs and stuff like that. As much as I can see and as much as he would say on the internet, you know. He was trying to walk a straight path, like in the best way he knew how. So, yeah. I should shut up and let it actually play, shouldn't I? He's going to phone this Dr. Akpol, who effectively was a channel that was trolling him and making videos about him and saying he was a smelly and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, people, I found the fat plate, and it's his account, and he's not blocked, and I'm going to ring him. Let's see if he answers, the shit house. Let's get him on.
So, just before I do, official Dr. Akpol is this guy, and like, look, no videos. Where's all the videos? Like, the late great Real Response TV Titch gone but not forgotten RIP brother. I don't know. Like, from what I can remember, he was a bit of a Kung Fu Kev himself. Like doing all, like, okay, Immortal Dr. Akpol. Maybe this is his new channel then. But like, you'll get a straight up impression of what. He's a little bit somewhere between Kung Fu Kev and a bit more of a normal. Say normal. I don't know what to say. I've watched like 2 of his videos ever just to see who he is, and I thought I just have no time for this. Like him talking about people. Like here's one of him talking about people.
Yeah, all right, everyone. Welcome back. Good evening. Okay, so I've just seen Mr. Paddy Pantsdown's latest premiere titled Scotty G, The Verdict. Just when I thought they couldn't shame that poor man anymore, he starts his social media experiment, basically belittling him. I mean, Scotty G looked nervous. He looked uncomfortable. So
this guy's making, like, you know, comment on YouTube drama, and like that would include, like, you know, people like Darren G, the people Darren G's arguing with, stuff like that. Brian and Emma Cockrell.
Keep out spirit tight, people like you all just keep out spirit tight. If it wasn't for you guys, you wouldn't be coming.
So this guy Brian Cockrell used to be what's called a taxman, and he used to go and rob drug dealers when he was young and fit and was on steroids. But now he's a lot older. He's just got a fearsome reputation and took it to the podcasts and did podcasts and made his own channel based off the fact he was on the podcasts, and got shitloads of trolling based on the fact he's got a channel, you know.
Just we thank you from the bottom of our heart for being watching us.
So, like, it's this world, yeah? It's this world. And Darren was cross because this man was trolling him and making videos about him, so he called him up.
Slung one, you're right, mate. He's not honest, they're no over 60s allowed on it. Trust me, lad. They're on everything where they can get access to kids and women. Trust me.
Big ups. Look, Arcan remembers as well. I'm sure if ABC does night shifts, but I'm doxing them now, but if they were here, they'd be able to talk a little on it as well. Herbert and Ditchy, do you remember them? Yeah, Liam Ditchy. I can see these are names to me. Not like I'm not, so I don't remember everything, but Herbert was a Liverpool gangster, wasn't he? And Liam Ditchy gave the platform to tell lies about Darren, and it was a shit show. Yeah, they it was weird. It was almost as if Darren wasn't allowed to be successful. Like they were, like his own media I'm sure he'll understand when I'm saying this. Like his own ability to produce a high-end podcast was relatively limited. From his room with his computer, he was trying to do a lot of talking and start up his thing. But it was all like on the streets of YouTube. Like you don't have to be in competition with everyone. Like I always say this: rising tide floats all boats. Like so, if there's other people talking on a subject, and if you're all part of a community, like that's good because YouTube, like for the algorithm, it helps you all out. It it suggests your video to the other people that watch the other people's video, and it puts you all in a bucket and it rises you all up. Yeah. If more people are in that bucket, if there's more people making videos about a topic, YouTube will suggest it to more people. But it seemed like in the true crime world, especially in the UK, and this was like before Nicola Bulley, this was like years before, the true crime world was podcasting and talking to actual criminals. There's a really interesting aspect to this, which is that when Sean Atwood sort of ran out of real criminals, he started getting people on who might have told a few lies. And one person that he had on, like, they took the podcast down because apparently he was like, there was a drama about whether he was telling the truth. And then he also started moving into other subjects, like he got on policemen and he got on a guy who had been a prison officer. And that was a bit weird because it was like, oh, you're sleeping with the enemy now, like bringing on the policeman. And like, yeah, or like David Icke talking about Masons and shit. Like that was Sean Atwood as well sometimes. And then nowadays he's just fully on that like madness tip, isn't he? Because he's just scrubbing for tabloid style views because everything, everyone left him after the scandal. But yeah, let's see Darren G going nuts.
Yeah, so look, people, I found the fat plate, and it's his account, and he's not blocked, and I'm going to ring him. Let's see if he answers, the shit house. Let's get him on. Come on, you fat mess, answer the phone. Hey, Codimo. Answer your phone, bell end. Hurry up. Shithouse. Answer the phone. Yo, shithouse Dr. Rathpole. Answer the fucking phone, you dickhead. Yo, dickhead Dr. Rathpole. Answer the phone, you shithouse.
I think he does answer in a minute. You say they're fighting for the boasting rights of criminal shortcomings. One of the things that Darren was pretty certain about, and does seem to make a bit of sense, was the idea that he might be about to reveal or uncover, or he was in some way a threat to the criminals that were currently operating, and so they wanted to shut him down. And they didn't want him to be successful, and they wanted to ruin him, so to speak. I always felt that there was a sense of podcast wars, because there was literally a podcast wars between James English and Sean Atwood. Like, it was well known. They would cross-pollinate on guests, but like this whole sort of army of trolls business, there was definitely some sense of podcast wars. And it just felt like between him, Brian Cockrell, there's another one in Liverpool, isn't there? A guy called Billy. Between a bunch of them, it seemed like they just Decca Heggie as well. It seemed like they weren't allowed to just all have a podcast. It was like this sort of online bloodbath death fight to the final victor, and that only one of them would be allowed to have a fucking podcast for some reason. Yeah, and it definitely felt like it was being motivated strongly. It's different from having fans and this and that. Did Bam Bam run a crime channel? To a certain extent. She was talking true crime, yeah. To a certain extent, I suppose. That's the genre that they're in. It's a little bit different. Alan and his stuff overlaps with this Chris Watts stuff, which brings in those, you've got American, Kessinger haters and the wider true crime world on YouTube, but I'm talking here more about British true crime as well. So yeah, Bam Bam's she's British, but the things like this, the subjects she would talk about would be more of those sort of Chris Wattsy international things. But sometimes I say about true crime, and I haven't made a big waving flag about it enough, that on YouTube, a true crime channel I don't know, let's give some shit to Harsh because I like giving him shit because he's a grifter. A true crime channel like Harsh, it's not really about true crime at all. When you say true crime, we're just crime, yeah? If you bring up this guy and you look at what they do, then it's just an everyday grift. We need to have 15 minutes every day, between 10 and 15, 17 minutes every day, and it's going to be on one of, at the moment, 3 subjects: Liam Payne, Idaho 4, and Jay Slater, yeah? Although I think he stopped doing Jay Slater after a load of backlash. So he's got the same fucking thing every fucking day for 15 minutes because it's a grift. You might call it a content offering, but it's a grift, isn't it? And if it's about true crime, then imagine how many crimes and how much real crime is going on in our country right now. and how much of it is covered by this arsehole, this potato on legs. None of it. Like, it's just fucking going on and on about, like, you know, it's like a nouveau Alan, yeah? And that's not what true crime is. That's not what real crime is. In fact, he's not really concerned with crime at all. What he's concerned with is a sensational story that real crime, true crime, Netflix documentaries, ABC, TLC documentaries on the telly, you know, every day on ITV there's a dramatization of a crime. Like, you know, it's about sensational stories that sell newspapers, and it's about long-term narratives of mystery, like Madeleine McCann's never been found, let's talk about her till the cows come home. Like, it's a grift around not a reality of crime. He calls himself harsh reality, and that's an irony, isn't it? Because this is the most head in the clouds, fantastic. I mean, I'm not dissing Brian Harvey on this, because Brian Harvey's been talking about Liam Payne, but for good reason, because it's in Brian Harvey's world and wheelhouse. But it's this idea that you know, in the real world of real crime, if you're an actual policeman, then you think this channel is so disconnected with reality, it's unbelievable. Like, they're just not in tune with what's really going on in the world of actual crime, are they? Because they're fucking going on like this. Meanwhile, people are having to deal with actual crimes in the real world, right? So let's bin off that, you know, that middle shelf trash rag. Every day a new 15 minutes, tomorrow it's worth wiping your bum on trash rag, yeah? Let's bin that off. But in the world of Darren's world that he's come from an actual prison where he's done time for actual murder, where he used to be running an actual drug gang in actual Liverpool, in the actual Drysdale estate, where, you know, you and I would not go. Like, Harsh and his fucking potato content about, like, you know, his potato waffles about the Idaho 4 is not interesting to those people, because those people have actually got people breaking into their houses and selling drugs on the street and prostitutes and this and that. And do you know what I mean? Like, that's the real true crime. And like the other stuff that goes on in our lives, in our culture, you know, the crime that goes on in our worlds, yeah? The real crime is not fucking sensational murders where, like, it's not often where that sort of stuff goes on, is it? It's more like grimy and horrible, like, you know, bad stuff and dark stuff. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that the British version of true crime and what came out of those podcasts, the thing that most people were really interested in was the authenticity of a real, like, life in crime, like Darren has lived, like his brothers have lived, and others on those podcasts were describing, and not a sort of daily grind of what's going on in the mystery case where there's someone missing and who are all the suspects and all that. Like, it's not that. Like, this is more gritty, real, like, actual, you know, actual life that's going on, I guess. I don't know why I got on that sort of ramble, but it's interesting, isn't it? Bit of a different kind of Chufferwatch tonight, isn't it? I knew I was going to be in a different mode because I've already done a lot of stuff on this channel this week, and I feel a little bit, like, chilled. Had my dinner, like, Friday night chilled for me tonight, but I'm glad we're doing this. It's kind of turned out interesting. And I tell you what, you want to make sure you're taking notes, because this shit's going to come back round a little bit in not so many days, I think, to, you know, cause a bit of a stir maybe.
Now let's look at you, you fat mess. Get your face on the screen, you fat horrible cunt. Get on the fucking screen, you horrible cunt. What are you hiding for, you nonce? What are you hiding for? Get on the screen, you fucking baldy-headed prick.
Now, I will say, I did watch this live, and I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, I used to watch Darren every night. Like, you know, you would get entertainment, but he was trying to run a true crime podcast, a bit like the one he'd been on. So this was not like, you know, what his... do you know what I mean? Like, this became sort of almost like his brand in a way, but this wasn't what he was maybe intending to do with his time. And as we were saying, like, you know, let's bring this all back round. That person in Bibby's chat, Karma Corner, and others of their, like, peer group were part of a sort of group of channels that were covering this. And so, like, there were also people out there, like, I mean, obviously Rackpool is covering it and instigating it and being part of it, and, you know, it all becomes a sort of like the parasites bite and irritate their host in order to get their feed, if you know what I mean. Yeah, funny world, yeah.
the kip here.
How could you take him serious? What, Darren serious? Like, he did go out and turn up at James English's house, didn't he? Like, when he was rowing with James English, he just went up to fucking Scotland or wherever and, like, turned up at his fucking house. And Decca Heggie. Darren G, like, he didn't break into his house and kick his door in, but he went to Decca's house and delivered him a card. Like a birthday card or some shit, didn't he? At 4 in the fucking morning. On video. So, he's fairly serious.
You're a shithouse rat. You're a shithouse rat. Your birds are...
Big ups, DC.
And all your mates are shithouse rats. You're a fat dickhead. You're a fat dickhead. You're a fat...
You're right in chat, everyone. I'm trying to keep up with everything, but...
perverted old man with fuck all to do with your life. You're a fat perverted old man. You're a fat perverted old man. Put your face on the screen, you fat mess. You're nothing but a shithouse rat. You're nothing but a shithouse rat. Look at the fucking kip here. Get your face on the screen. Show me people what you look like without your fucking hat on. Show the people. Yeah, look at him, people. Look at his little fucking egghead. Look at him. You little fucking mess. You're nothing but a dirty, perverted, crack-smoking old man. Get the fuck out of here, you dirty old grass. You're nothing but a dirty, horrible fucking rat. You're a horrible little rat. Look at the kip here. You smashed out your fucking head. That's why you can't get on the camera. Look at the state here. Look at the state here. Open your eyes, you fucking pervert. You're nothing but a nonce. You're nothing but a shithouse nonce. Look at him. He won't even put the face on the camera, look. Look at him holding his head. His head's fucking battered. Look at his head battered, people. He knows what's going on. His head's getting fucking battered. Look at him holding his head. You little fucking monster. Now get off the live feed, you little horrible shithead. If you want to deal with it like a man, bang in your little escort van and get up here. You shithouse. You're a nonce. You're a nonce. You're a nonce. You're a nonce. And your birds are mutt. You're nothing but a medicated junkie. Now fuck off and get back on your medication, you sweaty little rat. Everyone knows you're a fat smoking crackhead who's got nothing else to do. You're trolling everyone. You're nothing but a troll. You're a perverted, fucked up old man who cannot spare. You can't speak properly. You're mumbling your medication out your mouth. You're spitting all over your screen. You're just a dirty little old man who needs a fucking broken jaw, you little rat. Now get out of here, you smack rat.
I think Darren might have got himself banned off YouTube through some of these rants. Because like there he said about, needing a broken jaw. And I think at some point he might have lost his YouTube channels. I can't remember exactly what happened. Like he's now on TikTok. But like I say, I think whilst it was entertaining to watch Darren doing this, I don't think that was Darren at his best. And I think that that's not what he intended to do with his time on the internet. But he sort of got pushed and driven to it by a group of trolls, basically, didn't he? Who's this fella? Bun Bun. This is connects, right? Because Life of Kev, there's a guy called Bibby who was doing Life of Kev content. So you know Life of Kev, yeah? Well, that dates back to people who, when I say that dates back, Bibby dates back to Decca Heggie, Danny Christie. It's basically an old YouTube content, and in their chat they've got Karma Corner. There you can see it talking in their chat. I mean, I don't know if they're regular there or whatever, or maybe they're trolling Bibby or whatever. But it's the same. Bibby's made videos about the same subject that Karma Corner's made videos about the same subject. That it all just goes back to like a time and a place on YouTube a little while ago. And that time and place a little while ago is the world of former podcast guests on true crime podcasts, Darren G, the Brian Cockrell, Decca Heggie, and others. And the podcast they were on was Sean Atwood and James English. And this is all like 10-year-old beef. But it's interesting, isn't it, that by bumping into Life of Matt on the streets of YouTube and Kev being connected, Kung Fu Kev, there's this like 6 degrees or 2 degrees of separation back to this. So I just brought this up and we're having a little look at it. I'd also like to see Darren G talking about Brian Cockrell, because Brian Cockrell here.
He was English. About him because we don't feel the need.
And is it his wife or his girlfriend? I don't know.
To, because he's totally irrelevant to us. But for some reason, he seems to need to call Brian terrible things. He even calls me terrible things, and it's just like, and now we're just going to have to like respond. But I know all about you, Darren, and I know people that know all about you, right? So don't forget. Can't even go to Liverpool, can't even go to Liverpool because the kids in the North End want to do me. There's that many people got.
I've got to jump about a bit, but Darren G gets attacked in Liverpool. In response to being told he couldn't even go to Liverpool, Darren G went to Liverpool and got attacked.
Let's see what happens.
So he's currently walking around a place called Toxteth, and I don't know if you know, but we've got international people in chat or whatever. It's like walking around the hood, in inverted commas. Like if you live there and you know what's up, you're probably right to go walking around there. I could probably go walking around there, to be honest, probably, but I wouldn't stop and mess about and fuck about. I live in a city around a city. I live in a small town, but I live around a city like Birmingham, and I've lived in a city like Bristol. There are places that have got a reputation, and if you're not stupid, you could probably go walking around. Like this guy's walking around, Darren's walking around, but people live there. But at the same time, it's known as do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, but this is Darren's ends, isn't it? This is Liverpool, where he's from. So, but the idea is that Darren has got a hit on his head, and if he's seen on the streets of Liverpool, they'll chase him and attack him. And Darren's been told that by these chuffers, so he responds to it by going to Liverpool and walking around, doing a stream, like a live stream while he's there.
Obviously, because when we walked past this cafe earlier,
this was all madness back in the day. I used to watch it all.
Get on.
And as I say now, this video has been uploaded 2 years ago by a channel called Scouse Sit Off, and I don't know. I think that's not Darren. I think this is someone who's uploading Darren's content, and it's getting, saved as such. But it wasn't this channel that uploaded it originally, and so I don't know if it was 2 years ago now or longer. But
when we walked past this cafe earlier on, we never really stopped and looked, but someone went in.
It's this chuffer, I think. Just fucking hits him. It knocks the camera out of his hands. Look.
Sorry? Bring it out. Bring it out, shit house. You think you're attacking? Come here. Your hands. I'll put you on your fucking back, shit house. What?
This one. But there's no guarantee that he's done that because he knows who Darren is, right? It might be, it could be all set up, who knows, but it might be that he just, you walk around this area with a camera out, wandering around with your filming out, and they just, you're not filming me, you fuck. And, they just knock it out of your hand. They probably think, a young lad around here might think that Darren's an undercover police or something, so they just go for the camera and knock it out of his hand. It's not guaranteed that he's going for Darren because he knows who he is, but it kind of proves the point, doesn't it, that they said you can't go walking around Liverpool because people will attack you, and he goes, no I can, don't be stupid, and he goes walking around and someone attacks him.
And I'm knocking out. You won't knock nothing out, you dickhead. You fucking nugget. You go away. You fucking little nugget. I'm in your area, and what? You're on camera, you're not snitch. The camera's down, you're not on, you little dickhead. I'm fucking nugget. Go away, you shit house. I'll knock you out. Stop showing your mouth off, you shit house. You're a shit house. Go on then. Knock me out then, dickhead.
Darren just kicked this guy's, that's his bike, and Darren just fucking kicked his bike, just as a matter of principle. Now he's running. Now he's running, but Darren's not. He's not running away. Darren's not stupid.
Hey.
This is a classic. This is. He's just run around the corner to pop the camera down, knowing the lad's going to come running, isn't it? So, like, he's hiding behind the bin, ready for him. He's not hiding so he doesn't get beaten up. He's hiding so he can ambush him.
On what?
Look, he runs fast. Like, he could have hidden then. He could have got away with it. Like, you know, the lad goes past on his bike, and Darren runs after him. Not advocating for violence on the streets, but, like, this is what happened.
Then, dickhead. On what? What? Come on, get the fucking bike. Get it on. Get it. Come here.
So he's going to hit him with the bike seat.
Yeah.
I always wondered about this because Darren makes sure to get it in camera and stuff. But like, obviously you would these days, wouldn't you? You'd film your assailant. But it made me wonder if he's doing it for content. Like if this wasn't just his mate, he was just going to dance around with a bike seat for content.
Yeah. Shit house.
Seems pretty genuine anyway.
You've got a weapon and everything.
But I mean, well, that seems like what you'd expect in Toxteth. No, they're lovely people in Liverpool by and large, but you know, you get these pockets of underprivileged areas with drug gangs, literally, like, you know, in serious situations and stuff. So you do get violence and stuff, don't you? You don't stop in Toxteth. I've seen guns. Yeah, exactly. Like when I say I could go there and walk around, what I mean is, like, if I had to go and walk through Toxteth, I would, like, I'd be worried about it. I'm not going to be like, oh, this is going to be like walk in the park. But I think if you just get your head down and you just walk through somewhere, anywhere like Hood, you know, in the UK, most places, like, they don't just ambush you and attack you for just being there. Like, you get your hood, like, if you're going somewhere, like, you know, you're walking to the shop and then walking back, like, you know, you could live there, couldn't you? So, like, they're not just going to attack everyone that walks around. But if you're not a known face and you're doing something and messing about, then you're just going to immediately attract attention and someone's going to come and say, what are you doing? Like, and then you're probably in situations, maybe. I mean, like I say, I used to live in Bristol and I used to go and, I mean, you know, hello, used to go and get weed. And so sometimes that would take me to some of the, you know, like, I used to go and get some off a guy in Easton, and that was like a bit of a rough area. And I've been to St Paul's a couple of times, where I'd stand out a little bit differently because St Paul's is the Jamaican, like Bristol had a sort of, you know, history of the slave trade, and like, so it's like the Jamaican quarter. So like, you know, I stood out a little bit as like an obvious student. But you know, like, no one's going to like really fucking set about you and rob you if you're just in, buy your weed, go to the pub, leave, you know, whatever. But if you're messing about, you're in proper shit. And if you're part of the drug circles and like you are an enemy, you are an op. And for my problem is I'd probably talk to differently. You know, they'd be like, oh, what's this accent coming out of you? Who the fuck are you? But you know what I mean? If you don't fuck with people, you can just sort of walk through. But yeah, it's not like let's go for a night out down Toxteth. I think we'll all have a great time. This like naivety. No, yeah, you're right. There are shootings. It's like a proper place. Yeah. But usually those shootings are targeted, aren't they? Like, you know, they don't just go around shooting the members of the general public. That's like a sort of no-no. I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird. I mean, I've walked around places in Birmingham that, like, there have been shootings, but, you know, they've got a hairdresser's, they've got a little shop. You know, it doesn't seem that bad, but, like, it could be. Like, it has been. Anyway, yeah. That was Darren getting attacked in Liverpool. Let's go back to them saying he couldn't go around Liverpool, which is what provoked him to go there.
I've got thingies on his head, but he just can't go to Liverpool at all. He's a fucking crank, and that's what he is.
I've never heard her swear me, like.
And I don't
never
swear
heard her
to
swear,
her.
no, never.
Right, so I'll see you all tomorrow.
Right, Mr. G, you come to my house to shoot me, are you? Well, I've been looking for you and I can't find you. Well, let me just tell you about you, Mr. G. You got out of jail and you started sounding all right. You're going to help people, put down the knife, whatever knife campaign.
Remember, this is a guy who used to rob drug dealers for his job. Doorman, drug dealer, robbed drug dealers, lots of drugs involved, steroids, cocaine. But now, you know, obviously in his later years, is just trying to settle down and do some talking on the internet.
And you went on Sean Atwood's. Sean gave you a platform there, give you a good platform. You went on, you had my book, you used my book with the so-called author from Stokesley. You put my name, you stood there, Brian Crocker, I'm reading this, blah, blah, blah. Fair dues, right? Then you went on and said you were going to put down your knife. And when I listened to you, I thought, brilliant. What a knowledgeable young man.
Yeah, bun, there you go. Look, you're from Liverpool. It's fine, like, anyway, if you're not involved in Wallies. That's what I mean, isn't it? Like, and you can, but like I say, if you like Toxteth or like it strikes. This is like Birmingham Football Club where I go. Yeah, like we park the car, and some people might say, "Oh, don't park the car around here," and I'd be like, "Just shut up. Just park the car. We'll get out. We'll walk from here. What we're gonna do is someone gonna fucking rob us. Like we could go in the pub on the way. Just chill. Like, but like like maybe it's because it's match day as well, and like there's loads of Blues fans around. I don't know. You just feel normal, don't you? But like. Some parts like Aston Villa's the same. Like Aston in Birmingham, it's a fucking gun, drug, you know, problem place. Like you don't go fucking messing about in Aston, but it's where the football club is, and people walk and go to the football club and stuff. And maybe they just don't accost the football fans. I don't know. Maybe it's an unwritten rule as well. But like Liverpool, the football ground is in amongst those sort of areas. And like, if you went for a walk from the football ground in the wrong direction and just went for a wander, you could just suddenly be in quite a bad place. And there's these stories about people parking their car up for the match at Liverpool and coming back and like, you know, someone's nicked the wheels or whatever. Or like the kids ask you to give them money to watch the car or they'll smash it up. But, you know, really, it's not that bad. It's like just, you know, houses and places. And if you're not involved in those sort of more ingrained behaviours, you know, those ingrained problems, like if you're not a local and you're not owing money to this person, or you don't like have those problems, or even if, you know, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I kind of basically what you said makes more sense than me rambling on. If you, it's like anyway, if you're not involved in the Wallies, yeah. But there are some really dangerous places there where if you just, you know, if I sat there in my slightly different looking clothes, out smoking a reefer on the street, someone would probably come up to me and say, "Are you from around here?" And if not, we're going to have some words of some description, maybe, like, you know, whereas there are other parts of the world where people just generally wouldn't do that to you. No.
And do well, you helping kids going to go into schools, and the next minute, the real Darren coming.
Yeah, Shark's game is drugs, and this guy used to be the Shark, Brian Cockrell. His story is very strange as well, because like he's a bit of a, like you look at him, or I look at him as a bit of a clown on the internet these days with his rambling mouth and his stories and, you know, big ego. But yeah, like when he was back in his days, he was a big bully boy. Well, he's not a bully anymore because he can't physically bully people. So now he's just a reputation and some old stories, and an attitude as well. But he's like, in terms of like his morality, he's done his crimes. I don't know if he did his time, but he tends to like preach a good, like, it's a weird thing about it. It's like with Darren, with Brian and a couple of them, like they preach a good message, even if they might not walk the walk, who knows. Like they preach a good message. Like Darren's all about put down the knife and trying to get rid of the drugs gangs out of Liverpool. He's all about an anti-drugs message and a sort of social, like he believes in society, you know, helping out old ladies and, you know, doing good for your neighbour and stuff like that. Like there's a general feel of like positive, like the whole true crime genre in the UK, like I was saying, that's different about it as well. It's like these conversations with these former criminals. I suppose not all of them, some of them are quite brazen and aggressive. Like that's a bit of a weird one. Like James English came across as like this guy who would like to sort of like suck the gangsters off, like, you know, oh, you cool gangsters in Snatch, oh, it's cool to be a criminal, oh, you're a cool criminal. And that's not really what the message of a lot of these ex-cons is. Like a bunch of them ex-cons, they are saying like criminal stuff is bad and I've done this horrible time in prison and now I'm telling people not to do the crimes because it was bad in prison. And that was what Sean Atwood's message was like at the start, but it ends up sort of glamorizing the crimes, doesn't it, and glamorizing the criminals in some way. And there's that element of like Lock, Stock and Snatch and like, isn't it cool to be in these, you know, cool, and that's not, you know, those, that part of the spectrum is not so cool, is it? And it's just popped into my head that Peter Folding did a James English podcast. Peter Folding went on the James English podcast, so there is like even more of an overlap there as well, and that's because of right-wing politics. I think there's an overlap there, but It's weird. It's like, I want to say like this is like the compost that became the YouTube we have today. Like, it's a weird part of it. It's a weird layer of the layer cake. And unless you were there and watching it at the time, and like, you know how we do stuff like, you know, recently I've done a few videos about Eddy. Eddy's gone fucking psycho and doing loads of weird lies. Yeah. Like, that's like a sort of, you know, the back and forth with Alan, a bit of a daily drama or something. Yeah. But like I said, like these people, the people that made videos about them back a few years ago, it was, and how many years ago was this? This was 2 years ago. So it wasn't that long ago, actually. But it was like a daily back and forth, dramatic. He said this, he's doing that, they're having this, I'm doing that, I'm coming around your house, he's doing that. And they were all supposed to be doing podcasts about true crime. That's what they set up their thing to do. And they completely degenerated into, like, you know, a petty back and forth squabble that was going to be settled with street fights.
Didn't it? The real Darren come on. You can only hold that mask for so long when you're insanity, because you are clinically insane. You will get sectioned. The next time you do anything, you'll go to jail for the rest of your life. You will be sectioned. You've got mental health issues. I'm a mental care worker for 5 years, and I know this. When you went on and you said, after that, you said, if you start me, I'm going to come to your house. I'll kill all your kids. Kill your kids seriously. I'll shoot all your kids in front of you, then I'll shoot you, and then I'll have a shootout.
Now, he's saying that Darren said it, rather than showing us a video of Darren saying it, but to be honest, Darren probably said it.
Place, and I'll go out and I think you're good.
But like I said, Darren used to get well eggy and say like mad stuff, but you'd think, well,
I'm not
you know,
quite sure how to help you with that.
exactly. You'd think, well, you know, he's got really eggy tonight, but he's not, you know, he's going to probably do some press ups, like, you know, smoke a spliff and go to bed. Like, he's probably not going to go and murder Brian. Like, he's just probably got well eggy. But Darren did used to say some mad shit, and I think that's why Darren ended up on TikTok, not staying on YouTube. But
Boring. Seriously.
Mind you, like I said, he did drive to Brian's house at 4 a.m. once. So
little kids in front of them.
I don't know if he drove. He might have got the train, but
Mums and dads. Do you think that's good? So for all you kids who follow him, please don't follow this man.
To his credit as well, Darren, I think he got with a lady through the whole process. You know, there was like a lady in his chat, or maybe it was someone he met in his private life. But I think they had a baby as well. Like, there was, he had another lady who had a baby. He'd had a baby with as well. So there's like, he'd got 2 kids with different ladies, and he was quite committed to the idea that he was going to be a father to those kids, or at least the one that he got more of a chance to, you know, to be part of the life. And I think that might have settled him a bit. I hope. I don't know. Like, I haven't kept like tight close watching him on TikTok and keeping up with what he's doing, like I said, because after all this stuff, I was interested to watch true crime podcasts where criminals were telling people about the ins and outs of their lives and what had happened. And when it degenerated into this, like most people, and sadly for these channels that were trying to establish themselves as, like, you know, actual true crime channels or whatever, and don't get me wrong, I can see it, I'm on battery exhausted doing this, not super chuffed doing some successful true crime thing right now, but like, exactly the point, isn't it? Exactly the point. But there are levels to it, like I say, you know, me talking about Alan and me ending up shouting at my trolls, like, different, you know, different. And it's interesting saying the name Brian as well, because we're talking about Brian Cockrell here, but Brian Harvey had this exact problem as well, and some of the trolls overlap. Like, I'm pretty sure some of the trolls overlap with the Brian Harvey stuff. He's got a few other names that you might know or not know and recognise or not recognise. Channels that sort of built up and became monetized and ended up doing videos about people on YouTube based off the fact that they were repeatedly talking about Brian and what was going on all the time, or at least this whole world. And one of those that really pops out in my head is androgyny, and everyone calls it androgyne, because I don't think they realise that, or well, I think she says it now as well, but it's androgyny. Because androgyny is like whether you're a man or a woman, androgyny, yeah? And androgyny, the person who runs the channel, is androgynous. Like, they present as feminine, but they may, I don't want to get into that. But you can see, look, there's the content. There's John Wedger on Androgyny channel. They don't like John Wedger. They troll John Wedger. this group of people, not just Androgyny. There's Dr. Akpol, you know, she's reacting to Dr. Akpol here. They are reacting to Dr. Akpol. Humble Dryer, Blast from the Past, name that I now remember hearing a lot in these people's videos, but I wouldn't watch their content because it, like, to me, I was watching Darren G and, like, you know, the people, and then the people that talk about the people, I wasn't that interested in. Do you know what I mean? Like, the people that talk about the people are me. I'm a person that's watching them, so I've got an opinion on it, but I don't need to, like, make a channel and talk about it. I just have an opinion. Hearing your opinion on it is your opinion, but it doesn't affect mine. But this guy, MMA Philosophy, that they're talking about, I used to think he was good. I used to enjoy watching him.
Hello, my lovelies.
So this is Androgyny talking about MMA Philosophy. Do you see how we're going through these layers of the cake now, yeah? We're down to, now we're talking about people who go for a walk and talk on their phone about videos they're watching on YouTube, right? And somebody reacting to that because they're cross. It's the equivalent, and no offence to any of you in chat, you know, I've got a channel, Kelly's got a channel, but if there's any of you that don't have a channel, imagine you get your phone out and just tell me in your phone what you thought of my video, and you post it, yeah? Scott's video today was quite good, I thought he said this and all that, and you post it, and then someone else does a reaction to that video and says, oh, your opinion is wrong of Scott. Like, this is the levels that we're on here now. MMA Philosophy, again, maybe a channel that was supposed to be about fights and MMA, but I only ever saw them on YouTube when they came up in my algorithm talking about what Dekahegi said or something like that. And I used to enjoy, like, this guy, I'll show you him in a minute, but let's see the reaction to him first. Like, it's links, isn't it? It's so many links to this.
You know what? I've had words in the distant past with MMA Philosophy about the way he carries on, and he's just produced a video explaining why he's backing up Shadow Boxer, right? Somehow MMA Philosophy, I think you'll regret this. You'll regret this because it won't go away. It will never go away. You've stuck it on yourself now, because if you hear it, listen to what he's saying in it. Anyway, just to give an overview of it, he hated Shadowboxer. Shadowboxer shouldn't be allowed on YouTube. Shadowboxer was even though Shadowboxer was never accused of rape.
So there you go. Like, you know, we're talking about reacting to people, talking about people, yeah. And this particular reactor was reacting to and talking about John Wedger, Sean Atwood. I'm pretty sure they had time for talking about Brian Harvey, if I remember rightly. But Dekahegi. I'm not seeing any Brian Harvey stuff here, but I know Brian Harvey has talked about this person. So I 100% can say that Androgyny has crossed paths with Brian Harvey in terms of making videos and content and essentially, you know, talking about, do you know what I mean? Talking about people. It's close to trolling, but it's content creation, it's reaction, I suppose. I mean, I really find it, you know, I'm in this world, I'm doing it now, aren't I? Myself, in a way. But for some reason, I like to elevate myself to a slightly higher standard of, you know, I hope that I'm, anyway. Like, here's one, like, here's a reaction video to those people we were just watching, you know, this guy and his lady friend.
Well, that's what to do, isn't it?
Still do this.
Yeah,
well,
Is that the man on the screen that the wife caught him with kiddie images? This is Paddy Conroy that they used to talk about, or with, now he's on the panel with her, and like, yeah, anyway. So that was them.
Because he is mentally insane.
This is him talking about Darren still.
He definitely needs sectioning.
All full circle, yeah, isn't it, Blank Faces? It feels like a big circle. And like, what happened after 2 years ago this died down is that the people who were all talking... Oh, let me just quickly show you MMA Philosophy, because I said he was all right. MMA Philosophy, Dekahegi. Basically, he used to go on a walk in the morning and call Dekahegi a nonce. And I used to watch, I used to be there for it. They're only little short videos. Like, but...
How you doing, YouTube? When, like, I still talk about Dekahegi, you'll always get, like, that one comment, or a few. It used to be that one comment. These days, it's several comments, it's quite a few, that are saying, where's the evidence? Or they'll be saying, but he hasn't done anything, there's no evidence. They still say that about Dekahegi. Where's your proof? There's another one. Where's your proof? Right. To those people, either see as a brand new to this, you've seen a few bare knuckle fights with Deckers had and you come straight on you defending him. Or you're delusional. If you're in the loop, you're delusional. Because I say, there's a recorded, it's on here, a policewoman.
Yeah, that video, I need that video.
Reading out his Clare's law, saying he's a dick.
That video of the policewoman reading out his Clare's law, that was fucking ground zero for him. That was it. It was done, yeah.
Danger to women and children.
Danger to women and children. So, like, him coming out on his daily walk and, like, reacting to the YouTube and talking about stuff like that, that's MMA philosophy. And, like, again, like, I don't watch him doing his walk shorts so much anymore, because that whole thing with the Dekahegi and all that, it all seemed to peter out a bit. But, I mean, recently Dekahegi got arrested and put in prison for the Southport riots and stuff like that. But that was, like, you know, that was who Androgyny was reacting to there. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, these are just people talking about the people on YouTube, yeah? I don't see him as a troll. I just see him as someone voicing his opinions. And he seems all right. And then Androgyny was watching his video and saying, "Oh, you've gone too far, you've said this and you've said that." And, like, you know, like, we've got a funny cast of characters here. And, like, were I doing Battery Exhausted 2 years ago, you know, I could have easily just been bringing reaction content to this as well, and I suppose I would have looked a bit like an Androgyny or someone else, wouldn't I, to a certain extent. And I guess at the moment right now I kind of am, in a way. I don't know, it's weird, but it was a daily dramatic back and forth, and like I said, I used to think of it as like me sat in the audience occasionally saying, like, positive things to the channel that I think is good. Me sat in the audience like that, I was witnessing what I thought was an army of trolls trying to take down channels. Like, I was watching Darren's content when he was doing his true crime stuff, and all the trolls would go on, and, like, you know, then he'd start to lose his shit, and I'd be watching it, and, like, you know, what am I going to do? Like, Darren's going mad again. Like, this is entertaining, I guess, but, like, the army of trolls sort of thing, you know, and all that. It was a bit, yeah.
These are just some of the people. He said when he went on the show, Sean helped him, got him a camera and everything, helped him with rent and everything.
What you're saying in chat quickly, but it was on Atwood dissing Brian, if you remember correctly. Correct, yeah, that happened. And Lenny Conroy, I recognise the name again. Like, these people used to, like, go on and talk about all these people who they were going to fight and who they were going to. There was, like, a few old, like, hard nuts from around the northeast, and there was, like, Paul Venice and there were all these names, and, like, they're all going on. I'm going to fight this one, and I used to beat up this one, and, like, you know, there was a load of names, but I didn't watch everyone's channel to, like, go into that depth to know. You know, like I said, I was at the higher end of the layer cake. I was eating the top half, where I was watching the actual podcasts, the people that had been on the podcast that were doing their own channels, and I wasn't watching the trolls making content about Darren. Like, I was watching Darren making content about Darren. Do you know what I mean? But yeah,
Help the man up, give him a leg up. And then he went, "I'm bigger than you, Sean Atwood. I'm the best podcast in the country. You're only out a couple of weeks. Sean, 650,000 podcasters on there. Massive, works 7 days a week. Then you got another leg up on James English."
See, I don't remember Darren saying he was best podcaster, better than Sean. But what happened is, like, he's right in saying this. He went on these podcasts and then he set up his own channel and, like, wanted to do that sort of stuff. Yeah.
James, brilliant lad. Come to my house, sat at this table. Lovely, lovely man. Give you another help. And what do you do to him? He's fucking...
No, James English, lovely, lovely man. There is that video of him outside the McDonald's, isn't there? Isn't there? I mean, I don't know if this is going a bit far now, but... James English. This is off his own channel. This is James's own channel. Yeah? He's a podcaster, right? This is James English. Anything goes with James English, right? Podcaster. I mean, look, Freemasons within the police. Madeleine McCann was not abducted. World's biggest conspiracy theories. He's doing better numbers than Sean Atwood, but Like, I've never liked him. I've never liked his style. Never liked who he is and like his attitude and who he is. I've always thought he seems like a bit of an aggressive arsehole, not the sort of person I would like. That's my feeling on James English. That's my vibe on him. I think he used to date Kerry Katona, and this is him clearing his name on his own channel.
As you can see. Yes, people. Hope you're all good. So today I'm going to clear a little something up. Something that happened over 6 years ago. I was placed in the paper saying that I was this and I was that. But today I'm going to release the CCTV footage and you can see for yourself. You can see why all charges were dropped. But 6 years ago, there was an incident happened in McDonald's. An incident that I was placed in all the newspapers for. Even it was all UK press saying I was a woman beater. I was a thug. I'm many things in life. Many things I regret. Many things I'm embarrassed about. Many things I'm ashamed about. But I certainly ain't a woman beater. Never have been. Never will be. I was charged with kicking, punching, pulling hair and...
I don't know if you can be charged with kicking, punching and pulling hair. Like, can you? I mean, maybe it's different in Scotland or some shit. I don't know if he's in Scotland, but can you be charged with kicking, punching and pulling hair? Like, I always find him disingenuous and a bit like, I don't get a good vibe from him.
That's what I was charged with. I still can't get my head around it why I was charged with that, as you can see in the CCTV footage.
Maybe you can be charged with that because he's specifically being specific, isn't he? But
I never done any of those things. But that's what the girl says. And yeah, the
I think when he says the girl, I think he means his partner at the time.
Cops came and chapped the door, and that's what I was charged with.
Partner, girlfriend, or whatever. Like
6-7 years ago, I was still kind of...
James is well connected, says Joe Boy.
Going through change.
Well, he got Peter Folding on, didn't he?
In life, so I kind of get why the coppers.
Kelly says you can be charged with punching, kicking, and pulling hair. Like, fair enough. I just I've never heard it as I would have heard it as aggravated assault or something, but
well, put a little bit of extra pressure.
Maybe our legal system's slightly different.
Honest for this and charged us, but like I say, I went to court. Judge seen the footage, and all charges were dropped. Yeah, so incident happened. I was with 2 friends. We were in McDonald's getting food. I think there was a lot of people there from a Faithless concert. They were all drunk, talking shit. We were waiting for our food. 2 drunken girls standing at the side giving us verbal abuse.
Oh, it's not his partner then. I got the impression it was his partner that he was having the row with, but it's not his partner then.
Shouting at my friend, one for wearing a man bag, and just cheeky and drunk.
Just strangers who were female.
We were leaving. I told her to fuck off. She says something rude to my friend. I says, fuck off. And she attacked me. And as I tried to leave the restaurant, she attacks me again. Well, the only time I lift my hands is to hold her away. That's the only time. And while I hold her away, her friend punches and scratches me. The only person who had injuries was myself, scratches, and a slight lump on the head. Minor injuries, nothing. Wasn't thinking nothing of it, but it's a kind of weird situation to be in. I come from one of the roughest areas in the UK, and I have never in my life been attacked like that. Not from a man, never mind.
Okay, so like he's excusing it and he's saying he's not doing anything bad, but there's the CCTV. So should we watch the CCTV? Yeah, because he includes it. So it kicks off here in McDonald's. They're at the counter, and obviously there's some sort of problem with these ladies. I mean, the ladies, like he's saying, like are just random ladies who are talking to them, but they seem really close to them, like they're with them. And as they turn, there's this little bit of argy-bargy here between what I assume is James and this woman. And he, appears to smash the drink out of her hand. Or does he throw his drink at her? It's hard to see, isn't it? But James is collecting his food, so I assume he might have a drink with his food that he might be holding. Or maybe she's already, she's next behind him, maybe. Or maybe she's with him. But as they leave, look, there's the little bit of argy-bargy. He says she attacks him first. And then the drink goes... like that, and this man's trying to stop James English from doing this and take him out, and he says, out you go. And the lady's following him quite quickly because she's cross. And then we take it outside where she follows him and he turns to face her and he backs away, but he raises his hands and all the food goes all over the floor and he's got hold of her now. And then someone jumps in. The other lady comes in to punch him because he's got hold of that lady. It's like one of these drunken after the pub McDonald's fights, except he's having it with a lady. So out they come. She does appear to throw a punch. Like, she seems to hit him about here, maybe. Like, he's got his food. They're leaving. He turns, backing away. I think he hits her with the food. I think he throws the bag of food and hits her with the bag of food. Because at that moment, that frame, all the food goes everywhere. On the floor, look. He's got a hold of her now. And he's got her over by the railings. That guy, first of all, the guy that's his friend, first of all, comes in and sees all the food on the floor, and he's like, dealing with the food on the floor, look. Right, so he's taking his eye off the ball because of all the foods on the floor. I think he's got his phone out. I think he's going to try and video it on his phone or something. Meanwhile, James is having a fight with two women up against the railings, and a third, people from, just strangers are coming in now to try and break up this fight between this man and these two women. And he runs away. And they go to chase, to follow him. I think the reason they're following him, as I say, is at the start in McDonald's, what happens is, as he turns to the woman here, he turns to her, and then she says, sort of, get out of my personal space, and throws it. But it might be that she threw the first punch, so to speak. But he's invaded her personal space, maybe there, look. Maybe. I don't know. No, he takes a step back while she punch. I don't know. She seems really cross. You don't know what's being said. He said he told her to fuck off and stuff. Maybe, she should not have instigated violence. We can't hear what's being said, I suppose. But she seems really cross there anyway. And then the drink goes, doesn't it? It looks like he's clobbered her in the face with the drink. So I think that's what's made her really angry, to the point where she wants to follow him outside, because I think she thinks that's a line over the top as well. Yeah, I'm not saying that she didn't hit him. I also think if a woman hits you, it doesn't mean you can then attack them. But they've had the big fight. That's what's happened anyway. So I guess you be the judge of that, or the judge can be the judge of that, because all the charges were dropped and James English is not officially a woman beater. But for a good while there, the mainstream media were reporting that he was a woman beater, and that Kerry Katona's boyfriend had hit his ex-girlfriend in McDonald's or some shit like that, didn't they? So let me just have a check to see if they did that, because I shouldn't just say it, should I? Yeah, I think they definitely said this. This is the Sun newspaper, and it says, shock past revealed, Kerry Katona's new man, James English, is a thug who assaulted a woman and spat in her face, and he's friends with a gangster. It wasn't covered that he spat in that woman's face, so maybe that's what caused them all to get so eggy at the start. Because if someone spits in your face, that might be seen as quite an aggressive act as well. But yeah, they reported on it, in the Sun. He was charged with yanking her by the hair. Actually, you're right. Initially, he was charged with punching Michelle, but that was removed, and then he was charged with yanking her by her hair. He had his sentence put back for a year for good behaviour. So that didn't say that it was dropped, but maybe it got dropped later. I don't know. But he ended up going out with Kerry Katona anyway, so that's why they're reporting on that. Where were we? Yeah, Brian was just saying that Darren G had been on his podcast. And like I say, we should probably cover... I really don't watch James English or cover it, simply because I think of him in a negative way. I don't like him. So I don't really like... you watch podcasts with people who you like talking and like to hear them, and, I don't like him. Darren G's been on it. I think he might have taken down Darren G's podcast because Darren G and him had a fat row. So he might have taken down the podcast with Darren G. So he's responding to Darren G here, though, look.
That's your way of fucking... that's the good you're doing.
Yeah. I love it. Listen,
I know I've changed thousands of lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
so, Darren's been on his podcast.
Oats,
turns a nonce straight away, a grass, or gay. But let's face it, surely as fuck you're looking in the mirror when you're saying that shit, because there's so much shit about you.
So he's saying bad things about Darren now. Let's hear what he's got to say about Darren that's bad.
You wanted on my podcast. The first time, not a problem, you came on, explosive. Bear in mind, I had already done 100 podcasts before you came on my already successful show. Second time, you wanted on 3-4 months later because you said your stuff was hacked. People were talking shit to young girls. I had you on again to have your piece, have your say. I was always wary of you because if I'm honest, I always knew this day would come. I don't out anyone, but like I says, needs must. Had you on the third time to try and promote a positive message, promote your clothing brand. You've got a kid on the way. I done that. As you can see in the videos that you've just watched there, Dan has been thankful. It was a mutual agreement that he was coming on the podcast, listen to spread his message, which is great. A message, choose a life, not a knife, that was actually brought in 2016.
Fucking hell, hurry up, you chuffer.
By the Met Police.
Shouts out Darren's campaign. Like, that's the bit that we should be taking time to like alight on. You know, choose life, not knife is the good bit. But I just wanted, you know, I don't want to hear this guy talking forever because I don't like him.
With Marvin, you knew Marvin was coming to the ayahuasca documentary. You spoke to Marvin. We had dinner. Marvin phoned. He says he wanted you on the podcast. I gave you the phone. This isn't a conspiracy. That's just...
Now they're falling out over this Marvin and this other shit, yeah, and whatever, yeah. But I had one more point to make about this chuffer as well, actually, so I shouldn't have just sped past that.
Phoned. He says he wanted you on the podcast. I gave you the phone. This isn't a conspiracy. That's just happened.
Wait, let me just see if I can quickly get Darren G goes to James English house. Because I said this earlier about like when he went to the houses. It's probably not still up there, is it? Because it's someone's house. But Darren went to his house and filmed outside. Like he's like, I'm outside your fucking house. Like.
Go that you do not represent Scotland in a fucking inch. You won't even shout about them. You don't even mention your nationality on your fucking podcast, and I've put it on you every time I've seen you. Why aren't you repping Scotland, lad? What's wrong with you? I've got a past. I've got my uncles now. I've got too much hate and all that. Fucking right you have. No one likes you up there. You fucking horrible bastard. My family's a cunts. All my family are rats, but I admit it. You protect your rat of a family, and they've killed kids up there. You've set kids up.
Like, I know what he's talking about there, but I don't want to go. Like, that's another level down that I don't want to go into right now because it's just too much to like, you know, dig out and go and talk about. And so it's not got James English's house, but what about Brian Cockrell's house? Has it got that one? Darren goes to Brian Cockrell's house. This just happened tonight. Is that Brian Cockrell's CCT of it? Oh no, it's just Robin. Or is that Darren? No, that's not Darren, is it? That's Robin. So not the Brian. Or was it Decker Heggie? He delivers a card to one of their houses. And I mean, it's probably not up on YouTube anymore, is it? Because of all the videos that are going to get taken down, him actually going to people's houses and like, you know, filming outside them is probably going to get taken down. Yeah, what a weird trip down memory lane we're having. What a weird trip. Yeah, Joe Boy, your chats are coming up. You'll see them above my head. It's just slightly delayed above my head. That's all. It's just like a few chats delayed. So as it moves quicker, if everyone keeps chatting, you'll move past above my head a bit quicker. But you'll see them above my head. Yeah. What was next? Yeah, we'll carry on. Brian Cockrell didn't finish telling the story of Darren G from his perspective.
Yes, he's fucking that. I'll fight you. So Sean, James, not a fighter, as you know he's not. But he had the bottle. He offered you out, trained to fight you. And what did you do?
And the reason I jumped out is to say he just said James English was good. I don't think James English is that good, but
pussy ass didn't turn up. Shit yourself. Ben Hatchett, called Ben Hatchett, lovely young man, brilliant kid. Calling him, slagging him. He turned to fight you. You didn't.
Ben Hatchett's another one who I remember he did actually have a sort of like, you know, unlicensed MMA fight with another YouTuber. And it was like, you know, I call them troll channels, somewhere between troll channels and react channels or whatever. Like the people, like I said, the parasites that feed off this whole drama, they got themselves into a sort of, we're all going to have a fight with each other situation. And Ben Hatchett did have a fight with one of them. I can't remember what the other guy's name was, but the other guy wasn't properly prepared. But yeah.
Either in your BMW, which you'd think you would have a BMW the way you talk, or your big Range Rover, you rode off on a fucking kiddie's bike. A BMX, not a BMW you're running around in, a kid's BMX. That's you on a kid's BMX with a black hat on. You look 15-year-old, but when that hat fell off and you were talking to Ben Spann, I got the fright of my life. Please don't take that hat off. If you come to my house with that hat, you probably will give me a heart attack. Keep your hat on. But if you are coming to my house, it's 200 miles from Liverpool.
I swear some of my trolls were in this world back in the, you know, it's not their first rodeo on YouTube, some of my trolls. I swear. You know, I'm not a stupid chuffer out here. Like, I've been seeing some things. It's weird, isn't it, when I started doing the true crime, did the Nicola Bulley case solved, like, you know, like, I told you before, I used to be on YouTube a while. I did ASMR, relatively successful on that, didn't have any sort of weird trolling, even though, like, you know, other stuff, and Super Chuffer channel, I talked about flat earthers and other bits and pieces. You know, you get eggy people who are cross with your opinion, but not like weird trolling. But as soon as I stepped into brushed against the true crime world, like, it's true crime in the UK on YouTube, it comes with this, like, like I said, it's like army of weird trolls. Like, if you cover those topics, and I don't think it's like just a bunch of, like, I don't think it's just a bunch of sad acts, because they were all really motivated, and there's politics, and there's like who's going to be the best one and all that and stuff. Like, it's weird, but I don't know. Yeah.
So I suggest you go to a pound shop, get yourself a couple of punch outfits. You will get a punch on that 200-mile journey. And
I mean, also, I think there's a core group of people that were watching this shit and just enjoying the fact that Brian Cockrell was losing his shit, and they were enjoying Darren G like yelling at someone, so they would egg him up and get him eggy, and they'd egg him up and get him eggy. And Decker Heggie was a nonce, so they were egging, you know, going on Decker Heggie, and it's just like a daily enjoyable, like, not who are we trolling today, but like it was like a soap opera. That's the best way I can describe it. But a soap opera where the people in the chat that were trolling were sort of driving the thing along, and I think they got a lot of enjoyment in their lives out of it, and they also got channels out of it and stuff. So yeah, like, do you see when Hatchet gave Lazar the cheap shot of the century? I can't remember I can only remember he was fighting this one guy who used to wear glasses, and he was slightly taller in London. He was a London guy. He was the guy that jumped Marvin. Do you remember when Marvin got jumped out of his car? Like, Marvin with the funny eye was in his car in traffic, and this other guy got out of the car and ran back to him and was like, "Get out of the car, you fucker! Get out of the car!" And Marvin wouldn't get out of the car. He was called something like, his channel that wasn't his actual name. It was something like, you know, True Crime London Hotspot Chats or something. Can't remember what it fucking was now. You know, the boxing channels like Hatman Strikes Back, and how Ty and Booth and others ended up like becoming drama weird channels. Like, it's a bit of that as well. Like, Hatman Strikes Back was actually a channel that was talking about boxing all the time, and then there was other channels like the YB and Titan who would talk about boxing but also have a row with each other about stuff, and then later on their content just became having a row with each other about stuff, and boxing took a sideline. This is like that. This is like true crime was the reason that people were doing the talking, and that ended up taking a complete sideline for having a massive row with each other. That was Lazar, was it? Right.
Yourself a bike pump.
Not even in Liverpool, is that like?
Oh, did not live.
So yeah, did he cheap shot him then? I can't remember. Like, they did, didn't he? They were in this like, it was like a warehousey sort of room, and they were going to be like having a fight, and they were all like, there was all sorts of different people in the room, and they were sort of like strutting around, and then one of them punched the other one, didn't they? Yeah.
Not Liverpool. Yeah, that's what he said. He's from Liverpool. He's coming back. So he said he's 200 miles away. From Liverpool, he said today. Right. So you're supposed to be in Birmingham, whatever. When you ask the good people for that money of the month, you got £200. You went straight back to your...
You know, I call today's show Demons because obviously I've got a new song out on Sentries. I don't know if you know, but if you watch Sentries, I've already promoted it at the start. You know, you heard it today. Every day this Christmas, all the way up to Christmas, I'm doing a new song on Sentries every day. I'm posting on the community post. Make sure you check them out. Please do. Get those pumping. We've got Eddy's Christmas song. We're going to have an album called That's What I Call Eddy. If I pull my finger out, we're going to get the Wedge Wave album dropped as well. We're going to have a lot of songs going on for Christmas. It's a musical Christmas over here. I called today's show Demons. I didn't realise we'd go digging into this necessarily, but Eddy's got demons. Bob, obviously, that we started the show with, he's got demons. But I almost feel I'm using it as an allegory rather than I don't want to come to you and say, Scott, Scott thinks there's devil people doing satanic demon, like John Wedger goes on. Yeah, I don't want to go sounding like nuts or Bible bashing or whatever. But I think there are good people and bad people out there. I think there are people who care and are decent and have got good hearts. And I think there are some people who are just twisted up in some way. Maybe it's through their own personal tragedy or whatever. Maybe they're not happy with the way their life turned out. Maybe they're pretty smart people. For a lot of these, some of the trolls are pretty dumb, obviously, but there's a couple out there that are relatively smart because they go through all this rigmarole and effort to construct this fucking fantasy world of trolling nonsense. They could probably be effective at something better in their lives, but because they didn't get to do that, maybe they didn't, succeed in education and get those steps out of wherever they were, and they end up in a shit situation. They're angry, they're at home, they've got the computer. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to psychoanalyze something that's just, a wide-ranging thing. But there's obviously for years now been a group of people, British mainly, because the wide world of the internet, obviously, there's different pockets of stuff. But we're talking about a British-based trolling consortium that get their kicks on the true crime side of things, winding up and destroying people who are passionate. Sometimes I say about anger and passion are different things. Like Eddy, the Vinyl Breaks, being a narcissistic, abusive character, he'll tell you that it's not anger that he's doing to you. It's just he's being passionate. That sort of lie. But here, like Brian Cockrell, Darren G, they do get quite passionate about their subjects, and they are quite volatile characters. So they're sort of ideal for those trolls to dig into and wind up because they react, and not just to the trolls in chat, not specifically to the trolls in chat, but to each other really, and this whole ongoing drama and somewhere at home on a little keyboard somewhere, or even with their weird little channels like Dr. Akpol or whomever, there are people laughing and making a little bit of money, and it's a funny old world, isn't it? The bottom feeders of YouTube. And to a certain extent, I'll put my hands up to this. Dark Side Phil, I said putting my hands up to this like I don't do it. But Dark Side Phil, the milking of the lol cows, the laughing at people on the internet, the wide world of the internet, and watching it as Chufferwatch and just sort of, sitting on the sidelines and doing that. I suppose I'm in that ballpark a little bit too. But as I said earlier, I really don't feel like, I get trolled by these sort of people, I think. So I'm obviously not down there with them because they're doing the trolling. I'm still slightly above, because otherwise I would be the one doing the trolling, wouldn't I? So there are levels to this. And on Super Chuffer, I think I'm on a level above any of that. Which is why I do them on separate channels. That's why I do this on my, B-side junk channel. It was a junk channel originally, just all different things thrown up on there. But it is what it is, isn't it? I guess there's a difference between a sinister act and one in good faith, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. This was a dark world, and it still, I guess, is. And I think a lot of those people still exist. And obviously, bumping into Life of Matt on YouTube, Kung Fu Kev that wants to fight him, and the people that troll Kung Fu Kev turn out to be the people that trolled this guy, the people that trolled Darren G. There's a close overlap there. And me personally, I wonder if personally, I don't want to have anything to do with those sort of people. Like, I don't want to bump up against them, have them on my channel trolling me. No thanks. But I wonder if I already sort of have, in a way, like with the Super Chuffer content, with some of the Brian Harvey stuff, and certainly a level of the trolling that I receive, like, could equally be of this. Like, if you're doing forensic psychology, then there's a what's the word? When you have a profile, there's like a profile, isn't there? Like a kind of profile, a kind of behaviour pattern. Yeah.
Bed sit. No disrespect to anyone in bed sits. And you've got to feel your eyes like that. I can tell I am an extra. You call me a crackhead. Yes, I was a crackhead. I've been off it for years. I know that.
Oh my God. Do you know what I mean? You can see why I used to watch this shit, yeah? You're calling me a crackhead? Yes, I was a crackhead. I've been off it for years. Oh my God.
So I suggest you go to the pound shop, get yourself a couple of punch outfits. You will get a punch on that 200-mile journey, and get yourself a bike pump.
Not even in Liverpool, is that like?
Oh, not Liverpool. Sorry, not Liverpool. Yeah, wait, that's what he said. It's from Liverpool. He's coming. So he said he's 200 miles away. From Liverpool, he said today. Right. So you're supposed to be in Birmingham, whatever. When you ask the good people for that money of the month, you got £200. You went straight back to your bed sit. No disrespect to anyone in bed sits. And you've got to feel your eyes like that. I can tell I am an extra. You call me a crackhead? Yes, I was a crackhead. I've been off it for years. I know that. I admit to that. Put my hands up, move on. But you can't, can you? You called Billy Moore. Billy Moore is one of the nicest people that you can ever speak to. Lovely man with his brother Joe. Going around the city, helping hospitals, going on walks, putting money into schools, going around schools, helping people, doing good. Ben Span, he's helping people with the anti-knife campaign. He got jealous of Ben. You were saying, Stephen French, he's helping kids. We've all done that things in the past. We put our hands up, all of us, all time, gangsters, whatever you want to call us, fighters. We put our hands up and said, yeah, we're going to help people. We're going around schools. Me and my wife have saved 44 people from suicide. What have you done? All you do is go around slating people. Stephen Ray, call him Stephen Ray. Stephen give you a platform. You call him. Everyone's a nonce. If I'm a nonce, right, how can I? Me and my wife went to 4 schools last year and spoke to hundreds of kids. Right? I'm not a fucking nonce. Never been a nonce in my life. I'm not a bully either. And also, you know,
I'm just having a look at the questions. Yeah, go on. It's Stephen French as well.
Yeah, Stephen French, great lad. He's helping people, talking. Stephen did nothing wrong. Called Steve, said, me and Stephen were going out in parties in Liverpool. What a load of nonsense. I've been in the house for nearly a year. Ben Span, I'm out partying with Ben Span. He's super impressed. Me, my head on other people's bodies and
saying I'm doing sex parties.
Yeah. So, yeah, just going on about
saying you're doing sex parties. He gives her a look. I look, he's super impressed. My face on other people's heads. I love the way she's talking off camera to him, like prompting him, and he's thinking, "Oh, like, all right."
He's super impressed. Me, my head on other people's bodies and
saying I'm doing sex parties.
Yeah.
Saying you're doing sex parties, and he's looked at her and thought, "Why did you say that? Shouldn't have said that." Saying you're doing sex parties. The sex parties are real. Don't fucking come on, pull it together, love.
Me, my head on other people's bodies and
saying I'm doing sex parties.
Yeah.
He gives her that look, like, shut up now. Brian Cockrell, as much as he's saying Darren's bad, and Darren used to rant and, you know, say these things, yeah, like, I'm telling you, it was because of trolls that all these people did that, and they got egged up to do it to each other. And the amount of times that I've seen Brian Cockrell on his stream ranting about people, like, I'll come round your house, I'd do this and I'd do that, and I'm hard this and that. Like, come on.
Steve said, me and Stephen were going out in parties in Liverpool. What a load of nonsense. I've been in the house for nearly a year. Ben Span, I'm out partying with Ben Span. He's super impressed. Me, my head on other people's bodies and
saying I'm doing sex parties.
Yeah. So, yeah, just going on about absolute rubbish, just garbage you talk.
And now threatening to come to our house.
Yeah, threatening to come to my house. Well, my door was open. You want to come to my house? You stupid little boy. You come to my house and I'll knock you.
You wouldn't go in Brian's house as well because he's got like a fucking a Keeta and a I don't know if he's still got them, but he had a English Bull Terrier as well. Like, we used to have English Bull Terriers when I was a young lad. My dad had a couple. Like, they're nice dogs, I suppose. Like, you know, to a degree, if you're on the right side of things. Like, if you're on the wrong side of things, like.
Door was up, and you want to come to my house, you stupid little boy. You come to my house and I'll knock your fucking head clean off. You come to my house, bring your gun, bring what you want. I'm waiting for you. You know, I'm here. I'm in the house. I'm half paralysed, and I'll still destroy you in 2 seconds. Because you're not but a baghead. That's what you are, a little baghead.
Well, he said about him being paralysed. Like he's had I think he had. I don't know if I want to say a stroke or something, but he like had to do rehabilitation, like on his, like, you know, he's half paralysed, as he said. I think.
You grassed that lad up. 33 years he got through you. You little snitch grass. That's what you are, police informer. And
I don't know about what he's saying about there, like, but I think he's talking about when, like, obviously back in the day, stuff happened with Darren, like, you know, I don't know.
Bones your TV. It's got nothing to do with me, but he is a great lad. He's a Christian. He's a friend of mine. I love him a bit. He's nothing to do with me.
Brian can't even set his own YouTube up, let alone a fucking
Why do you think?
So now what they're saying is, like, one of the trolls, you know, they're saying the troll isn't me.
Emma keeps coming in, pushing buttons. And my hand's paralysed, but that left one will fucking still destroy you, you little rat. You look like Billy Casper. You won't know who Billy Casper is. Billy Casper was in a film called Kess. Little pigeon chest you've got, and a little sparrow legs like that. Little sparrow legs.
Big up's Big Chris.
AD's sexual deviant. AD's a con man. AD's a crook. AD owes tax. AD.
I'm first.
Big ups. Thanks very much for the £2. Thank you.
I'd slap you and you'd end up the other end in Middlesbrough. But you come to my town, my hometown, I have a fucking army up here, an army, and you won't be going home. No matter where you live, you won't be going home, I'm telling you. So you get on your fucking bike and on your bike, because you are nothing but a smack rat. So yeah, so stick that in your pipe and fucking smoke it. Ass wipe.
Oh, we did the armchair detective. Did the armchair detective catchphrase? Although Alan doesn't usually say arse wipe at the end of it, does he? And that's the end of that one. He did mention this guy as well, Billy, who does another podcast, Liverpool Gangster, ex-gangster. He said he was good. He's now talking about Brian in this video. Like, do you see how it's like you know, I think Brian, this guy, Darren, you know, they sit on this level where they've been on the podcasts, they've done their own channels, they are ex-gangsters. Like, they sit on that level. They can argue with each other, they can do whatever, yeah? But then, like, they're the content creators that have been on podcasts above them, I would say. And this is a really interesting point I wanted to make, actually, before I let Billy start going on, is that, like, the people who make the podcast, like Darren G and James English, yeah? Someone like Darren G, he's got a story, and he's got a story to tell. Like, this really is about Luke as well, and Luke going on Sean Atwood's show with his... the Moors murders, actually. You know, the Moors murders, they're my sort of thing, the Moors murders. Like, Darren G has a story to tell, so that's content. If he sits down and he talks for 6 hours and tells his entire fucking story in detail, it might take 12 hours, it might take 2 days. That's the content that Darren has to offer, the main thing he's got to offer. Then, on top of that, he's got to go out into the world, talk to other people, you know, develop his stuff. But what he did on Sean Atwood's show when he went on there, Darren G, Sean Atwood, is he created content. Like, Sean created it with Darren. Darren created it with Sean, yeah? Like, he told his stories.
So, when were you ever the happiest in your life?
When a woman called Pat Kennedy took me on.
So he tells his stories, you know, it's interesting. To make the content, Sean Atwood has paid someone that does the studio and the cameras and stuff and the editing, got Darren on, sat in the room, you know, done the talking. It's come out as a video, he's put it on his YouTube. I don't know if Darren's got paid or not, but, like, ultimately Darren doesn't really benefit from this any further other than the notoriety. The reason I'm talking about him, I know him, he was on this podcast, you know, like, he gets a lot of eyes on him. It was a big numbers podcast. Like, you know, he gets the the advertising from it, so to speak. But unless he's not getting on any ongoing royalties, I doubt. Do you know what I'm saying? But Sean gets that. He gets the money as everyone watches this podcast in the future. He gets the money, like he gets ongoing money from that forever, doesn't he? It's what you might call legacy content, yeah. So what Darren has essentially done is he's taken all of his best content. And this is good for Darren because it gets his name out there and it gets him shared about. John Wedger does this a lot, doesn't he? He goes on a lot of podcasts and he gives all his best, most interesting stuff to the podcast. And here Darren's like giving that content to Sean. It's a deal. He's not just it's an arrangement. Like, he's not just giving it over and just said, thanks very much, Sean. I don't want any part in this. He could do. He could not want to do a YouTube channel. He could just want to tell his story once and disappear. Some people do. But Sean's the one that has that content on his channel now. And now what Darren wants to do is to start his own channel, the Darren G channel. So when Darren G goes and starts his own channel and tells his stories, you've already heard them once on Sean Atwood's show through a good microphone, well presented. The more podcasts you do as a guest, the less you have of yourself to really offer on your own channel, unless you've got deeper and more interesting and better content on your channel. The best of you is out on the podcasts because it's presented really well on the podcast as well, with a proper interviewer, with a studio and all that. And I think some of the guests for Sean and James English, I don't know if they suffer from this or realise it. I don't know if Sean was trying to steal from them in that way. James English, maybe to a certain extent. Like once your stories are on their shows, I mean, James English took down the podcasts with Darren in after the big row, didn't he? But once your story's out there on there, like what Luke did with Sean recently was he went on, told all his Moore's Murders stuff, and then thanks very much, Luke. We've got your views from the stuff that you've done. You've done all the work. We do nothing. You come and talk about it on the show. We get all the views from like you just giving us your best content. Thanks. And then you hope for people to go and watch your channel because you've come on ours and you get a bit of a boost. Like, this is different from just doing an interview with someone, a chit chat. There's different levels to this, isn't there? Like about how much of yourself you give in the interview and how much of your best content goes to somebody else's channel. But I do feel that like once Darren had given his best content to these podcasts, him setting up his own channel, which was essentially in some way in competition with his own content on other podcasts. I think maybe there's something in that. So I kind of wanted to make that point about like, ownership of like the best part of the content and what it means for your guests to go on and then make their own channels and how much of that content helps you, helps them and stuff like that. I do think that a lot of these ex-gangsters that wanted to start their own channels were a little bit naive because I think they thought Sean's got 1 million views on my video. Like Darren must have got about 500,000 views on this No Trouble back in the day, yeah? And he must have looked at that and thought, well, 500,000 views on an interview with me and Sean. When I do my own channel, I'll get 500,000 views on me because they're listening to my story. Like, I'll tell my story again. They'll listen to it on my channel. I'll give you more details. I'll get more and more views than that. I'll probably do better than Sean because it's me they're watching, not Sean. But that was not like this was True Crime Podcast number 7, and Sean had already done, a series in this vein that meant they were watching Sean, if you know what I mean. So I think some of the ex-gangsters were a bit naive when they started their podcasts, in terms of they're not media producers, they're ex-gangsters who have, like, it's easy to sit and talk to Sean, it's harder to be Sean and run the podcast. Do you know what I mean? So whether they succeeded or not as channels based on their own merits, like, I think they thought it would have been an easier ride maybe in some ways. And I don't know, like now when I look at Sean Atwood's channel, like Luke's a great example of what he did to Luke. It does look like he just takes other people's content and platforms it so that there's something there on his channel because he's hardly doing stuff. But he does still go out and, like, Sean himself does still go out and collect in unique, new content interview wise. And there's an awful lot of passed around content as well, isn't there? There's an awful lot of guests that go on everyone's channel. I mean, look how many, like John Wedger's, like, I wanted to give an analogy, but I think it would be quite misogynistic actually. But you know, like a lady who's had lots of sex with lots of men, that's misogynistic. Do you know what I mean? A man who's had lots of sex with lots of men, that's not so misogynistic now. But you know what I mean? He's like been passed around, hasn't he? He's like every single fucking podcast you can think of and have ever heard of. John Wedge has been on there saying the same shit he says everywhere else. So at what point is there any use in having John Wedger on anymore? Like it's just like tired, boring, old, repetitive, recycled stuff. But Luke comes along with a new channel. Get him on there. He's interesting. Get him on. You know, let's recycle John Wedger. And there's some part of it is lazy, but another part of it is this sort of like when I said a rising tide floats all boats. You know, I'll support Curious Cat. She'll talk about Foodie Beauty, and then when I talk about Foodie Beauty, some of the people that go on her channel might come and watch me. You know, it helps us both. Like when I talk about it, the people that watch me, you know, might go there. Blank Faces, you know, we talk about true crime over on Super Chuffer, and the people that watch me there might be interested to watch Blank Faces. It doesn't hurt me, does it? It's good for me that there's more of a community feel amongst more channels and more good stuff going on. Yeah. Big ups, Big Chris. Big ups, popping the green button. Thanks for the membership. Catching up. Big ups. So you'd think that would be a good thing, yeah. But there was a sense maybe with this true crime content world that, like I said, the content is these people's stories, and the more they've given them out to all these different podcasts and are trying to run their own, the more there's a sort of sense of value to their own story. I mean, a lot of them are trying to publish books as well, and it's like, my story is valuable, so how do I get as much money, or not money, but like, you know, as much, how do I exploit that story as much as possible? And it's already been like, the reason they got to this position where they've started their own channels is they've already been exploited by Sean. Like Sean's already had the best of them and put it on his own channel. So that's a great big advert for you. That's good. You know, people are going to go and watch your channel now. They're going to know who you are. But if they're going to want to hear your story, they're going to watch it here on Sean's channel. So you've got to now start to come up with more. And maybe that's like, you know, a naivety in the guests. Like Darren might, like he did a really long and extensive podcast, and it was really in depth and really good. You know, that's good. But maybe if he thought in a year's time, I'm going to be running my own channel and I'm going to want to use these stories as content for my own channel, maybe he would have like held back certain things or given an overview, but said, you know, I don't feel like now's the time to go into total depth on this, but you know, maybe in future I will, you know, and stuff like that. And he could have just retained some of that content. It's a weird one, because as a content creator, I would love people to come on my show and you know, give of themselves and be open like that without thinking, oh, I have to hold it back for my own show. But some guests are never going to have their own show, but others did, and it became a podcast wars, like I said. So the main podcast wars, it seems though, the way we're watching it today, that Darren G was the main like pivot point in the middle of all these podcast wars, and in a way he was. He went on everyone else's podcast and he had a lot to say about everyone. And you know, the old gangsters, like unlike Sean, Darren was, you know, from that world, so he would say things about and to them and all this and the rows. But in another big way, the podcast wars were between Sean Atwood and James English, because they were the biggest two channels. Sean came first and James sort of rode on his coattails and overtook him, and they had the same sort of guests on both channels. They were talking about similar topics, and Sean's best move along the way was he had a guy called Andrew Golding or someone, I think his name is it Andrew Gold? It's Andrew Gold, yeah. This guy called Andrew Gold, I say his best move, as Sean got better and bigger, he brought in people to help him make the media. So Andrew Gold was this guy who would start producing for Sean, and he would be on the show as well.
Welcome to Heritage.
He would be on the show as well, and he would like run the show, if you know what I mean. He'd do the microphones and the this and the that, and it was very clear that was the sort of thing that was happening. And this other woman, Sonia Poulton, as well. She was on Sean's show a lot, you know, providing content, talking about subjects like paedophiles, Jimmy Savile, and all this sort of stuff, yeah. And then when Sean Atwood got, what would I say, busted with these videos and photographs with the lady at his house called Callie Diamond, who was apparently a prostitute. I'll find a video and see if there's any, you know, apparent evidence of that on the internet. But when when that happened, and his life sort of got destroyed around him, these people left him, and his success on the internet was basically, you know, down in the toilet. And Andrew Gold, here now doing a podcast, look, with all the kit and caboodle, you know, talking to Sonia Poulton. This used to be Sean Atwood's show. Sean Atwood brought these people in and like blooded them through. They used his platform to get themselves well known, and then they fucked off and did their own show, and Andrew Gold's doing quite well for himself, thank you very much. And a lot of people who thought that what was good on Sean Atwood's channel, because Sean took it into this place, this sort of like paedophiles, David Icke, like, you know, whatever, like pseudo conspiracy, elites, Masons, quite right wing stuff. Like there's Richard Grannon on here, look, going against Trump.
Fundamentally,
Richard, like Sean didn't go right wing politics. He didn't go that far, I don't think. But these people wanted to and did. This is Richard Grannon going on about trans people being bad or something. I fundamentally reject the trans ideology, Richard Grannon. So, like, you know, this got very political, this one. Sean used to love talking about Ghislaine Maxwell and all that. But these people want to talk about, like, you know, wokies and stuff like that. So I don't like these people. I don't like these people. Off the back of talking true crime and Jimmy Savile, they also talk wokies and gender identity, and like they're very, you know, hard right, really, under the subtle banner of true crime and undercovering the truths in society about the bad. Like true crime here overlaps with paedophilia and Jimmy Savile and all that, doesn't it? So like that's what happened to Sean Atwood's success. There it is. And Sean is trying to imitate this with his channel because he thinks that's the way to get views. But the people that, like, it's about reputation as well with some of these people. And Sean's reputation was destroyed, so nobody likes him anymore. So they went and watched this instead. And they don't need Sean Atwood. So Sean Atwood is now like a clone of that, but with worse staff. He's got that guy Ron Swanson helping him. And John Wedger comes on a lot. You know, he's like a clone of that, but worse. And he doesn't get the views that they do. And his reputation, as I said, was like in tatters. And why? Let's have a quick look and see if we can get that. Sean Atwood, Callie Diamond. He actually had this woman on to do a podcast with him. So here she actually is. Daddy Gate, look. This is, well, here we go. Look, there's people talking about it. So this is actually the woman that, I won't say the woman that caused him the trouble, because that's a bit unfair, but like, you know, she was, bottom line, she was a sex worker. Like, he podcast host on the internet talking about bad paedophiles and stuff like that, yeah, has a vulnerable sex worker move into his house, and instead of helping her with the crowdfund money that they got, the $5,000, right? Because at the start, I mean, it's a bit of a thing, isn't it? Vulnerable sex worker moves in, but I'm a good guy, so I'm going to help her, yeah? But then to take the money from the crowdfund and for her to then be on the internet doing the sex work with photographs you've taken in your house of her naked, like, that's a bit of a step, isn't it? And he said, well, she still had to support herself, so she needed help to do the photos, and it's her job. But, you know, it went a bit fucking fucked, didn't it? So
well, loads of people have
this is her own channel. I didn't realise she had her own channel.
been asking for an update on Callie, and videos were taken down. We're going to be discussing that, and also just to let you guys know from Callie's own mouth how she is doing now. So how have things been going for you lately?
I'm doing well. I've got a flat. The funding from the YouTube got me a flat, which I'm so grateful for. So everything's starting getting back together. The police told you to take down the podcast from before because of my mental health. Having other people make up stories about me, now I'm finding quite amusing, but this time was a bit traumatic, really. Especially.
It was. Listen, you can hear the way she's talking. She might have her makeup on here, but like, she seemed in quite a bad place when they did the podcast, and like, it was a really weird move to get like a vulnerable, essentially like, you know, a street worker onto a podcast like that in that setting to tell all those stories and like that. And it seemed like it seemed like, you know, they'd had some sort of personal relationship, and in these videos it's scripted and they're having to say, like, you know, look at his face, like it was fucked basically. And Daddygate involved a video of him and her. That screenshot there is that screenshot is her clawing at his underwear. Like, he's taking the screenshot like this, and she's down there, and like, that's what that screenshot is. Because, right, there was the original video where she was dressed as a baby, or one of them was dressed as a baby, and there were drugs on the table that got leaked, and that was a problem thing, yeah? And in response to it, they made what they called a parody video of exactly the same thing, but they did it themselves as a skit, and they released that on top. So I think that was done to cloud the water, so people thought, I've seen the video, but it's obviously a joke. What is everyone cross about? And they go, no, the original video is the one they're copying. But they made a copy video of the bad thing. And that was in some way to sort of like make it better, but it made it worse. Because everyone saw her doing this and like calling him daddy, and like it was weird as well. But I'll tell you what, if he wants to have his own private relationship with anyone, that's up to him. That is really up to him. Like, really it is. But it's the way the content was made around it as well. Like, she's a vulnerable person, let's get her on the podcast, we're going to do a crowdfund for her, I'm going to help her, and also she's going to stay at my house, and we're going to do like sex games and record them and put them on the internet. So like obviously you can see where things went wrong, can't you? That's just like, this person's done an 8-minute video, and they've called it Daddygate, Sean Atwood, Androgyny, Kelly Diamond, The Bottom Line, and Angie Power Disney. I don't know who they are, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you know, these layers of the cake, and like, it's what YouTube's like, isn't it? It's what YouTube's like.
Hi friends, it's Angie.
Well, to a certain extent it is, depending on who you are and how you like comport yourself, doesn't it? Comport. Dude, you're on deep on Nicola Buddy case. Big ups, B-Clet Jog. Haven't seen you in a while. What did I see you the other day? Big ups. Yeah, like, yeah. The old Nicola Bully case, yeah. I think that's what caused me to get these sort of trolls go at me as well. You know, the sort of takeaway, or the subtext of what we're talking about today is there are things I've seen recently that make me think that, and I've always been saying it, you know, some people, it's not their first rodeo, like some of my trolls. Big ups for H.E. Barney B. Thank you for the 99p. Thank you. Do you want some nice buttons? Should we have a look at the nice buttons? Some of the old nice buttons. I say the nice buttons because they're the least offensive buttons I've got.
Brian Badondi.
I like that one that goes Brian Badondi. It's just like very relaxing, that one.
Brian Badondi.
And this one.
Ghost Gura. I'm absolutely electrified right now.
That's probably like my most chill button.
Ghost Gura. I'm absolutely electrified right now.
Thank you very much. Angie Power Disney is very suspect. She's involved in pushing out conspiracy propaganda. Is she? See, there's people who know what I'm talking about that, you know, like, it's a funny old world, isn't it? Me, myself, personally, listen, I'll tell you this. I'm happy to comment on all this. I'm not happy to be this. Like, I'm not getting dragged into this. Like, when people troll me, you don't see me on Battery Exhausted doing an episode. I mean, to talk about Eddy, he was involved in Nicola Bully. Yeah, he was telling lies about Nicola Bully. That's a bigger deal. But, like, you know, I haven't got time in my life to give a fuck to do episodes on people who are trolls and people who are saying this said about that, one said about me, said about that. Even if I do occasionally have my mini fucking egg outs on Twitch, like, I ain't down with that. Like, I'm making proper content on Super Chuffer, and I'm commenting on the other content creators on Battery Exhausted, yeah, because I am a content creator. But I'm not going to be like dragged into it, like anything down that road. I find it so murky. But I think, like I said, there is definitely a bunch of people who, and it overlaps in a way with, you know, the trouble Alan had with the old truthers and the Kessinger haters, and no, wait, the Kessinger haters are fans of Alan, and it's the Rusick supporters that some of the Kessinger haters hate, and all that business, yeah. It's like a pocket of fucking bitterness that's attached to a thing that if you look at the whole of YouTube, you're like, what is this? It's like a fucking pimple underneath the carpet of YouTube, isn't it? But those little pockets of these weird bitterness, they're all over the show on YouTube. And there are people that, like, as I've said, for years in Great Britain specific, have been on this like true crime crama, the way Simcast calls it crama, but a specific kind of, you know, I'll call it the Sean Atwood podcast wars. That's what I'll call it, you know, born of that era. Like a sort of consistent, and I don't want to say organised, but it almost feels like it's organised by the right wing, though. Like a way of polluting the internet. But like, yeah, it's just like there's a bunch of people out there, aren't there, that are like, you know, they get their teeth into that shit. And then here comes Super Chuffer doing a bit of Nicola Bully, and I just sort of trod in some bosh. You know, sorry about the smell, chaps, trod in a bosh. But I kind of did, and I kind of picked up some of that on my shoe. And now we've got to try and scrape it off and move on. But learning about it and seeing it like this is also like part of the scrape process, isn't it?
Right, I'll just get to this. 2 things I want to get to. I finally got clarity on Daddygate. And I'm going to start by saying that I unsubscribed to Sean Atwood, and I've since resubscribed.
Like, bear in mind, right, I'm watching this because she said, like the video came up quite quick, and she said it's the bottom line. I was looking for someone like I've just done to give a nice overview, a nice clean overview, maybe even with some clips. But she might just ramble on about her opinion, and I might critique her opinion, because I remember what happened. I saw it all unfold.
Because, one, I think he actually, a tiny part of him, wants to climb out of the matrix he's been in probably most of his life. And 2, because the guests he attracts, some of them, I'll just say that. I've always got my guard up. But he does have some superb guests, one of whom recently was Doug Scott Kramer, another whistleblower on Scientology, whose work I've just binged on his channel, is Dazed But Not Confused, because I was involved with EST for a decade from 1980, late 82, EST, which then became the Forum, which now is Landmark Institute. So some of the work is phenomenal. So I'm giving him a pass, but a limited pass. But having said that, I just want to put this to bed. With regard to Daddygate, it was unethical for Sean to promote a GoFundMe with a woman that he had interviewed, and according to her, within 2 hours of interviewed, had bedded and was in a relationship with. So to put a GoFundMe up on your channel and not say, this is my sexual partner or my girlfriend or my, she's living with me, that was unethical. The second thing that was unethical was to withhold the information that Callie was due to go on trial for causing death by dangerous driving.
I didn't know that.
For which she went to prison. That was unethical. And the most glaring unethical thing...
I say I watched all this unfold and I remember it all. I didn't know that. I didn't go that deep. I watched the video when there was like that video of Sean Atwood shagging that woman, and I was like, what the fuck is this video doing? And like before you could really like get your head around it, he released his own video of him shagging that woman, and I was like, what? And then I saw a picture of her naked bum, like I said. Big ups, Kevin. That's the bill.
Game over, man. I can't take it anymore.
Thank you very much for the 99p. Thank you. I didn't realise that she'd gone to prison for death by dangerous driving. Perhaps she did belong on the Criminals podcast after all. His podcast went weird. Like, if you're going to do criminals and you're going to have career criminals that have been to prison telling their gangster-esque stories and what it's like being inside, you can't then start having establishment people, the police, whomever else, because it feels like you've flipped. But yeah, I like some of his guests. She said were really good, but when she's saying that was really good, that Scientology whistleblower, at that point I'd started to think, nah, not so good. Get back to the real people, the gritty realism. Stop going on these mad flights of fancy. And certainly, if you've been listening to people who've been banged up for 90 podcasts, and then here comes a prison screw to tell you what it's like from the other side, you think, fuck you, prison screw. I don't want to hear about you and your problems with the prisoners. I've been hearing what it's like for the prisoners to be beaten up by you for the last fucking 90 episodes. It was a real weird sort of flip-floppy... Maybe he just sort of ran out of content or felt like he wanted to, broaden his horizons out of the true crime world. But it felt like his core, the thing that he was doing that was interesting. Maybe it's a dangerous place to be as well, and maybe it's a difficult place to be. So I get it. But he decided to turn into a sort of Epstein, Prince Andrew... like pseudo conspiracy, everyone's noncing the kids, like John Wedger, satanic ritual abuse, like that's where that sort of John Wedgerism, started to get more rooted in it. He sort of changed his content offering, so I went away from it as well. I went away from it because of this bollocks with the Cali Diamond stuff. I was like, ooh, I didn't like the way he handled all that, and I didn't like what he was doing. So there was that. But in truth, if he'd have kept making really good podcasts with really good guests, I'd have probably just still watched them for the guests. But it was the fact that his content went shit for me.
Was to mount a GoFundMe.
You saw Bob's naked bum bum.
Allegedly to help.
We've all got a naked bum bum.
A sex trafficked victim start a new life and get her 12-year-old son back in her custody when she never stopped working in the sex industry.
I had no idea about a 12-year-old son, and that is a big waving red flag as well. I didn't know there was a young child, like a vulnerable child necessarily. I say vulnerable by nature of her being, I just didn't realise that.
And was charging $1,000 a night.
And that was what I did. That's what I did realise, because that evidence went up on the internet. The pictures of her fucking, she had a web page for it. What do you call it? Viva Street or whatever.
12-year-old son back in her custody when she never stopped working in the sex industry, and was charging $1,000 a night for out calls, like going to spend the night with the client, or $800 if they came to where she lived.
Spoonful, do you mean John Wedger went weird or Sean Atwood went weird? Because I don't know if Sean Atwood did Wilfred Wong or not. I can't remember him doing Wilfred Wong, but I know John Wedger's background.
It was unethical to find her an apartment.
In that he's a fucking pants swimming, like more likely to be a Satanist and a rotter than the people he's pretending to catch. Weirdo, John Wedger.
With a fake letter from a fake company that had been inactive or like closed for.
I'm going to play this one. I mean, you're saying she was a bad chuffer, but I think she's got relatively good grasp of the facts of what everyone was cross about with Sean. So I'm going to play this one as like a, finish up on this topic, I guess, and maybe, try and swing it back round to whatever the fuck we were talking about before. I do want to throw just out there again. I just want to say, this guy's had a really good time on his holidays. This is Paul Arnott. Paul Arnott, who obviously is going around Southeast Asia on some sort of touristy Southeast Asia, some sort of, touristy Southeast Asia thing. I think you can get a handbook, can't you, a handbook. Didn't someone write a handbook about how to sort of backpack around there? He's meeting his youngest fans and he's having a great time. So that's Paul Arnott. Let's make sure I've popped that out a few times. And we'll listen to this lady, and I'll play a song to finish us off. And I'll tell you all to go. Remember, don't forget, send trees. Check out my community posts every fucking day on the way up to Christmas. I'm working hard on it, so you should appreciate it. Get on those send trees songs. I don't get anything like the channel's not monetized. It's my smallest content offering channel. It's my smallest one, smallest number of subscribers. But those songs are being pumped out up to Christmas, and Eddie's getting a hammering over there as well. Eddie's getting a hammering. Oh yeah, I did see the other photo. Yeah, I just didn't. The way I'm presenting it is through my. Thanks for the other photo. Yeah, I'm just presenting it through this old post that I made on Twitch. Sorry, the different social media names. Twitch. So it's easy for me to flick between the two. But there is another picture of him here, and the girl's giving him a kiss, isn't she? Actually, maybe I should show that. I just didn't post it there at the time. I mean, it's equally as creepy. So I suppose it's worth, in for a penny, in for a pound. There it is, and I'll make it go on the screen by maybe posting it as a reply and opening the image in a new tab. There he is getting a kiss. Getting a little kiss. And it's one of those where he's crouching down and you can almost see his crotch as well, which they're our least favourite of his photos. But there he's getting a kiss. So yeah, let's finish off hearing what Sean did.
Many years, saying she was going to be a secretary earning 30 grand a year or whatever. There's so much.
Sorry, Sean Atwood had one gone. Someone reposted the podcast episode. Well, there you go. He did go through a spate of deleting his stuff, didn't he, Sean? That was a weird time. I don't remember exactly when and how or why. I got the impression that there was a particular guest. I didn't realise it would be Wilfred Wong actually caught up in this. So good shout, thanks for telling me. Although I need to actually see the evidence, I need to find it if I'm going to, be accurate about it in the future. But I know he had another guest that was, I want to say a criminal, but might not have been, that came from America, I think, and told all these stories about connections with certain gangs, and then it didn't all add up, and people were saying he was a liar. And so what Sean did is he took down the episode, and then he argued about it later, and I think the episode went back up for a bit. It became a thing, but you did make you question further on from that, how much due diligence Sean was doing on the guests. And some of the episodes, there were him, Wildman, and a sort of really personable gangstery type of guy, or some interesting character. You didn't really worry about the due diligence because it's entertainment, yeah. But with other guests, they were talking about some really serious stuff and allegations and things, and what went on and things like that. And you thought, well, it's just you sitting there saying it, isn't it? So, are we sure about this? And Sean went really towards the weird guests way, rather than sticking with it's like for a while he deleted all his content and put it all back up eventually, like I said, that Darren G episode that we watched, that originally had 500,000, 600, 800, nearly 1 million views, and then it got taken down and put back up as a new video, which started out with no views and collected a further 200,000. So it's weird to do that. So I don't know what he was doing when he was doing that. But during that time, a whole bunch of different podcasts, and I assumed what had happened was he'd gone back and thought, well, I haven't done my due diligence here, so if anyone said anything weird that I can get sued on, I'm going to have to take it down. And he's gone through and picked out sort of 10 or 20 that were pretty weird and took them down. And maybe that's happened, maybe that's happened. It was a few months before Wong went crazy, was it? I didn't realise he was so close to that story. I thought because in my mind, I know the Wilfred Wong thing happened, and I know John Wedger was part of it, but I thought John Wedger sort of went on Sean's podcast once, and then the Wilfred Wong stuff happened, and maybe a year later John Wedger went back on the podcast, but maybe it was all a lot closer, wasn't it? I remember John Wedger being a friend of the show with Sean, but Sean he did a podcast with someone, and then several months later another podcast with them maybe, but he didn't sort of have a lot of people coming and going at those early stages. But John was quite a friend of the show even back then, wasn't he? Yeah.
Ethical about this, but I just want to put the simple stuff. Callie, I think.
And if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about with Wilfred Wong abducted a child because he thought they were going to be subject to satanic abuse. So John Wedger had Wilfred Wong chatting on podcasts talking about satanic abuse. John Wedger and Wilfred Wong thought that kids were being abused. So John Wedger and Wilfred Wong, well, not John Wedger, sorry, just Wilfred Wong and some other people went and saved a child from satanic abuse, which involved kidnapping them from their foster care. So then the police arrested Wilfred Wong and the people for kidnapping the child, and he's now in prison. So that's why Wilfred Wong is considered to be a bit of a strange character, and John Wedger was instrumental in that, because there's a video of John Wedger interviewing Wilfred Wong about the satanic abuse, and John Wedger's still talking about the satanic abuse, but not going as far as to kidnap children.
Sean recently said she's not online anymore, she's just minding her horses. She is a horse whisperer. I come from a family of Pavlovian type dog and horse whisperers, and I recognise that in Callie. And she is a victim, but she said on Androgyne's own Facebook, when it was said...
See, she called it Androgyne. It used to annoy the fuck out of me. Even Androgyne calls herself Androgyne, but her name is Androgyny.
Why are you still working in the sex industry? We thought you were trying to get out of it. And that was what the GoFundMe was for. And she said, no, I never said I was going to get out of the sex industry. I just said I wanted to make it safer. And Androgyne, as much as I adore you in terms of, I don't know, it's weird. It's like...
Tell you what, all these topics, right? On YouTube, if you talk about certain topics, then it stops. I think it slows down your... I know if you get demonetized, and I think, I'm looking at my thing now, maybe everyone's just going to bed, You know, maybe everyone's bored of this now, but we're running along at quite a steady rate of viewers, and then it's sort of dropped off now. And I think that's because we've been talking about quite rude and sensitive issues, and it's got to the point where YouTube said this is a demonetized stream, and I might be able to fight that afterwards and ask it to review it. But I know that YouTube, it has like a way of suggesting the video to other people like that, yeah. And when it gets demonetized, it flattens it off. It's like don't show this video to other people. Let them watch something that gets monetized. So when you talk about these really difficult subjects like this, it slows down your rate of growth on YouTube, and certainly it slows down the number of views you're going to collect on that video. Unless you're Luke or Sean Atwood, in which case you seem to be able to do it with like free abandon. And I don't think it's because they're getting monetized on their videos in the same way. I think it's that they're getting demonetized by YouTube, and YouTube is slowing it down, but then they're faking the views or some shit. Because that John Wedger shit and his, you know, Madeleine McCann shit seems to get loads of views on those channels, but I think that's fake. Like, I think John Wedger might be buying the views. Like, it's so weird. But yeah, like, we're coming towards the end of the show now. There's 4 more minutes of her talking about this, but I think we've got the point, really, haven't we? Unless she's going to like specifically say some more allegations or specifics of what happened.
I see the heart as opposed to the agenda. And I was raised, you know, like I was a member of the Bradfordians.
So I don't care about that. So the Bradfordians. But yeah, like that's a bit of a round the houses way of looking at. The reason it got brought up was because of this channel that covers Life of Kev. Whose name I can't remember now, but Kung Fu Kev, Bibby, wasn't it? Kung Fu Kev was ranting about Bibby. So let's sum it up like this. Let's go back round to this, right? So Bibby's making content about Kung Fu Kev, yeah, and like they're only a small channel. Doesn't mean they've not been around, not been watching it. You know, doesn't whatever. In the thing, it might just be a coincidence.
I wouldn't, yeah.
It might be a coincidence that Karma Corner's in there telling them, like, because we don't tip the lolcow. That's an unwritten rule amongst detractors. So maybe Karma Corner's just like, you know, jumping in to say you're being silly there. You're not, you know, you've not been doing this long. You don't pay the lolcow. You know, I don't know what's going on here, but it's 6 degrees of separation. Well, it's 1 degree of separation or 2. You've got me. I watch Life of Matt. This guy's kicking off with Life of Matt. There's 2 degrees of separation. The trolls that watch this guy, there's 4 degrees of separation. That's it. That's as many degrees as we need. And we're connected to Sean Atwood and the podcast wars, and obviously Luke. And you know, Luke trolls me and wanted to start a hate campaign against me on the internet, which he's taken sort of semi offline. Like he doesn't do it like I do my stuff, talking openly on the internet like this. But you know. He's in other people's chats threatening me with violence. So like, you know, it's not that many degrees of separation away, is it? This world of weird trolling and not that guy, that was a different one, but you know, the people that trolled these people, that not Darren G himself, but the people that trolled him, you know, the people underneath that layer of the layer cake, the ones that like feed, like the bottom feeders. He did a reaction to Kev's rant at Bibby. I bet he fucking did, didn't he? I bet he did. You know, that's content for him, isn't it? And to a certain extent, you know, I've made Kung Fu Kev my content by putting him on the show and reacting to what he's doing. But like, I just like, you know, I'm like, what, you know, that program Gogglebox, yeah. On Gogglebox, they watch the telly and they talk about what they're watching on the telly. Like, that's more what I'm at, yeah? Like, with Alan's stuff, I never went in Alan's chat. Like, I'm not there. Like, if I'm winding him up by what I'm saying and reacting, you know, getting him to do stuff, it's because of what I'm saying on my stream. I do my talking on my stream. Like, with Darren G, he has the opportunity to not watch the people, to not react to them. But if people are in his chat and people are doing weird shit and, like, going real life on him, then that's different, isn't it? That's, like, hardcore trolling, yeah? Like, but you can still just ignore it. But you know what I mean? It's like this true crime world, like I'm saying, this world, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not, if I want to react to Kung Fu Kev, I think I'm going to react to Kung Fu Kev. I think I'm not going to react to Bibby reacting to Kung Fu Kev, reacting to Bibby reacting to Kung Fu Kev. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a difference there. And I think that on that layer cake, that's just, I'm not trying to be mean to Bibby specifically, because I don't know anything about them. Like, but in this YouTube world, I can see that as being like I keep saying it, and I don't want to sound like I'm someone special, because this Battery Exhausted channel is not as, it's still got, still wading around in the same swamp, but like I don't want to be the person that reacts to the person reacting to the person reacting to the person, like that sort of Inception content farming, whatever. Like, I'm just commenting on what I see more, and the Super Chuffer channel that I've got, like, let's kind of remember. I need to prove it by just doing better stuff on Super Chuffer, really. But like the Super Chuffer channel that I've got, that led to this Battery Exhausted channel getting, like, Battery Exhausted existed as a channel. I was doing vegan videos on there in the past in little bits and pieces. It was a dumping site for my songs and whatever. But when I started on Alan, like, I was doing Super Chuffer main channel. I was just doing that channel. That was my thing. And then Alan came up as a problem, and I wanted to talk about him on the internet and, like, ridicule him and all that. So I didn't want to do it on Super Chuffer because I thought it would really be the wrong tone for the Super Chuffer channel. It'd be the wrong content. So I used Battery Exhausted to put it on there to do it. So I'm happy with the way that's all gone. I'm happy with the way we're carrying on, but I don't want to end up like one of Darren G's trolls, like, or one of Kung Fu Kev's trolls, or certainly not reacting to them and watching their videos, if you know what I mean. I don't think that's the road I want to go down here. So today's been an overview of it all, of all that, and I believe the people who are talking about Kung Fu Kev are the same people who were talking about Darren G, are the same people. Well, they are, aren't they? I've seen the video. Decker Heggie, they're all the same people who are talking about all that stuff. Bibby did videos about Decker Heggie and those people. So, and they're that group. They're not in a group, but you know what I mean. Like, the people that were talking about those people are also people who are trolling me. Some of them, and some of them are trolling Brian Harvey, and there's no overlap with all that. So it's like, all of a sudden, the weird thing about this, right, is unlike some other YouTubers, I occupy both spaces in a way, don't I? I'm in Super Chuffer world, I am the channel they troll, and over here I am ostensibly, or it looks like, I'm one of the troll channels, but I'm a detractor channel from the Dark Side Phil ilk that makes comment on YouTube like a content cop rather than a nasty troll. Yeah, so there's a level below, which is the nasty troll, and as I say, I think that makes it harder for the people who troll me, and it makes it more confusing for them as well. And like, certainly with Alan, like, if it had been a battle of Super Chuffer versus Alan on the Super Chuffer channel doing, it had been really hard, but like, by having this space to sort of wrestle around with him, I was able to, like, win out on that. But I'm not going to be dragged down any further from here. It's weird. I don't know what I think about Kung Fu Kev as well. I think that he's still live, look.
Across the desert and look.
Who was it in chat the other day? Was it Seb was saying that they thought that he was an actor putting on a character? Like, I really feel like that could be the case.
I will always come back to you.
But I kind of don't.
As long as you're for me, baby.
But like, Dr. Rackpool was nearly like this as well. He was like a kung fu-y. There's another character that I want to throw in this mix, but I'm not going to today. But, look out for a future episode maybe. But there's another character that falls into this bracket of Rackpool, or like, in a way he's like Rackpool. The reason he's called Rackpool is because he was all about bodybuilding, but he wasn't like, he was like a Kevin Street defense of bodybuilding in a way, that Rackpool guy. Like, people used to troll him because he was trolling, like, they thought he was trolling by pretending to be a fitness, bodybuilder, because obviously he wasn't one, and whatever. It's like this guy might be trolling the whole internet. You think he might have learning difficulties? Well, there's that as well. But he said himself that he doesn't. That he's mentally completely compos mentis, no neurodivergence. He said that. You reckon Eggy still got that wig on? We haven't talked a lot about him, have we? Despite putting him in the thumbnail. Don't know. He's pulling bits of his hair out, isn't he? He's probably wanking over Suno, isn't he? Probably trying to get a really good song going to try and make himself feel better. His current angle, talking about Eddy, his current angle is that he doesn't. It doesn't matter that he lied, and no one seems to care. And he's kind of right, because the people that he's dealing with now just don't give a fuck about anything other than Scott's bad. So that's all he's got to cling on to, like a piece of driftwood at the end of the Titanic. It's sad for him, really, because he had hoped people would want to listen to what he had to say about Nicola Bulley, but that's all dead and gone. Like, that's completely dead and gone. I mean, it's weird because Alan's resurrected himself on TikTok, and if I cared enough to, I could be banging him as a nonce on TikTok, and that's important to do soon because he's still doing his numbers on TikTok with the Liam grift, and it would take off quicker than his shit. Proving that he was a bad person on TikTok would take off quicker than his shit, because like they'd all watching him and they'd all be horrified by, oh my god, this man I've been watching about this Liam Payne stuff is a fucking nonce. Tell everyone. Like, they'd go mad for that. So I should really be on that. But yeah, other than Eddy resurrecting himself on a different platform where nobody knows who he is, you've got to remember, like, serious people are interested in Nicola Bulley. Like, serious people. So, like, when I say serious, I mean true crime that we've been looking at today. Like, they're serious. Like, Darren G's a serious person. Yeah. Well, he's a bit of a messer, not a mess, a messer as well. But like, it's serious stuff. But like, I mean, like, serious as in, like, with Nicola Bulley, people want to find the truth and they want to do true crime. They don't want to watch a load of people having a row, or they're not there to hear Eddy slate some other person's channel, and they're not there to necessarily even listen to my funny songs, even though some of them like them. Like, they want to find out truth for Nicola Bulley, and when people are proven to be liars, they get written off. They get put down in the poo-poos, because like, if Eddy comes out with anything interesting on the internet in the future, there will be a load of channels now that will say, oh, do you know he's a liar, though? You know he's a liar. And when it comes to true crime and finding the truth, telling lies fucks your credibility totally up the wall. Like, he's never going to be... Chris's Substack now as well. Chris's Substack, who, like, bless him, thinks everything's an actor and all this. More and more I start to think that, like if there's a pendulum sitting, not one of those dowsing things that you're forced to move yourself and fake it if you're a fake witch, but like a pendulum swing. Like, more and more the pendulum swings to more Chris's thinking with me. Like, I don't go all the full way to like everyone's an actor, but like, Eddy's now proven himself to be a fucking liar and like a fake person on the internet. So Chris's Substack can have it away now and say what he wants, and like, it's more likely that what Chris's Substack says about Eddy is true than what Eddy says about Eddy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I trust what Chris's Substack says about Eddy more than I trust what Eddy says about Eddy at this point. And that's where Eddy is now. So most of the true crime world, if Eddy made an important video, it wouldn't matter. So now, yeah, what I was saying was his sort of like, fingers in the ears, la la la, is to go in some troll channels and say, oh, does anyone even care that I lied? And they go, no, because they don't care, what you say at all, really, about anything serious. All they care is if you do a good meme where someone says a cross-dresser, have him for being a gay. And that's what they care about. So that's where you are. Layer cake levels. Yeah, I think I might piss some people off tonight, who might think of me as being a bit arrogant if I say that I'm not wanting to be on that lower level of the layer cake, because look at my channel, look what you do, but thankfully that's not the only thing I do. It's a string to my bow, and I hope to do it in a slightly more mature and responsible way. In the main, sometimes I get eggy, about the racism and shit like that. Sometimes I get funny, putting my willy in Alan's mouth, so that's not very mature. But today we've done a different kind of show, haven't we? I'm a multifaceted human. But I'm certainly not some fucking shit troll, And I've certainly seen fucking loads of it on the internet. So I ain't going to go down that road, and I ain't going to get dragged down that road. And you ain't going to have me with that shit. It's a funny old world, and it's a funny old story. I guess today, in a way, it's been a bit of an expose of that sort of stuff. The only thing that's been missing is all the comments from the trolls, because Someone came in with one, but I banned them. You know, but like, do you know what I mean? The only thing that's been missing is the voice of the trolls here. They got their own voice on their own shitty channels. There goes their voice. Yeah. Oh, look, there's a funny video from Watch Mojo. Greg Wallace, TV's biggest wanker. Watch Mojo is just a troll now.
On all the front covers, it's in all.
I don't want to play this because this morning will get me for like copyright, but I was thinking of doing a Greg Wallace tonight. The other show I was going to do, I had 2 shows lined up. You know, I made a choice. The other show I was going to do, I didn't choose to do this. This was audience participation led me down this road. But well, you brought up a subject, and I said, "Hey, do you think about this?" And I've talked for hours, but. Greg Wallace being a wanker, I thought about playing old Greg Wallace TV shows and reacting to them, having fun, but we just get hit by the copyright, bang off. So I might do that in the weekend or in the week on Twitch, and then upload it to YouTube. Maybe Super Chuff for you might see that. It kind of crosses boundaries, that does. It's over here, but it's over there. But yeah, I'm not going to do it live now. But to bring it all round, like the people who troll him, whether he's real or not, whether he's one of the trolls or not, the people who troll him, yeah, they're just going to be some of them, you know, some fresh young internet trolls, aren't there? But trust me, like, I've proved it tonight. I proved it. They also trolled Dekahegi, and they also trolled, effectively, if you're trolling Dekahegi back then, you know, if you're making those videos about Dekahegi, you know who Dekahegi is, and you're on that, then you're also involved with Sean Atwood, with, like, Darren G, with, like, it's like saying... to say you weren't and to say you're not connected to all of that is like saying you know, I drink beer but I only drink one brand of beer and I've never tried any of the other beers. It's ridiculous. If you're a beer drinker, you know what all the different beers taste like. You've drunk your way along the bar, like, you know, come on. They're all in the same ballpark, they're all doing the same thing. So it's interesting the way that connects and the way I've sort of like run into it again like that. And so you can see why I'm tentatively trying to take a bit of a step back from it as well, because I'm not in that world and I don't want to be. I don't have any friends who go into Life of Matt's channel legitimately to watch him, other than the people from our streams that I've introduced to it. But it would be weird if, I don't know, if I were to say I'd gone in there to troll Scott, but I'd also got a friend who goes in there legitimately and told me that things were happening in there. That would be weird to say that, because that would be like saying you're connected to this old troll army and the Darren G years. That would be like 6 degrees of separation off that. So bear the fucking that in mind, because I've got the clips. Interesting stuff. Greg Wallace is a wanker. Finishing on a song. Finishing on a song. We didn't even get to Eddy Arquette. I didn't even get to Eddy Arquette. You know, Eddy Arquette here. Didn't even get to do Eddy Arquette. So that's a shame. I've got the Eddy Christmas song, but there's a couple of frames missing. I don't want to show it yet because I want to build up to it. But I'm really nearly finished the video for that. I wonder what I should play. I remastered the Gin songs as well. So this is... oh no, I'll play Radar Machine. I'll play Radar Machine. Yeah, Radar Machine. Because we talked about Eddy, but we didn't like talk about him a lot. But you know, Eddy said about this Radar Machine. Like, Eddy lied and said that he had this machine to record the radio on, and he didn't. Like, it's obviously a lie, and he's telling everyone now that he obviously lied. Yeah, like he's owning the lie. So I wrote a song about the Radar Machine, you know, as you do. So do you want to hear the Radar Machine song, and then that'll be the show tonight. I'm very grateful. Obviously, I've had super chats and gifted memberships and stuff. But I'm very grateful. Listen, the internet's a wild world. There's some bad people out there. Like, a road's not always going to be smooth, is it? And There are going to be ups and downs, and through the process, you learn a lot. You absolutely learn a lot. So I'm just really grateful to be on the journey and to have people with me on that journey that are good people that can see the wood from the trees and stuff like that, you know. I'm very grateful for that. Like, you sometimes don't even know, like, it feels like destiny maybe or something, but you don't even know what you're driving at sometimes, like where you're going, and then you're faced with, like, you know, an opportunity to do some good, and you've got to grab hold of it with both hands. Christmas is coming anyway. Every day leading up to Christmas, I got a bit distracted there. I don't know what I was talking about, but every day leading up to Christmas, we're going to be on Sentries dropping a new song. So if you have not, and if you're not, like, you're wrong. Basically, do you understand? At this point, if you have not and you are not, then you are wrong. Get on Sentries. Look, it's a channel of mine on YouTube. It's called Sentries. I'm linking it in the chat now, so you can find it in the live chat on this video. I'll probably put it in the description below, or like the comments or something. But you can see it. You can find it. It's at Sentries. It's got Sentries written on it. And if you write Sentries Eddy or Sentries Eddy or something, you'll get it. Look, and look at these fucking brilliant thumbnails I've done. And even the videos that have just got a basic video, the basic video is really good. Like, it's really good. There's a playlist on there, and if you press the playlist, it'll play all the songs for you, so you don't have to fuck about. And that's all the AI songs that it will play. But the channel goes back a bit further when we were uploading Alan's fucking weird bollocks. Someone did a video about him threatening me, so I took it and put it up here as well, as a sort of like storage place. I took Emma White's, like, some of the things that copyright questionable, I put on Sentries. Angry Brass versus Time Boots. So these clips and stuff, they don't matter. But like, what does matter is the artificial intelligence songs. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. So get on that. Get on that. Yeah, get on that. A new song every day leading up to Christmas. I'm saying it. I mean, obviously Christmas Eve or the day before I'll probably stop. But at the moment, I'm churning them out. We've got a backlog. I've been making loads of songs this year, and I don't want to end the year with loads of songs on my back burner and say, oh, that was a good song, we should have released that. Like, I don't release them quick enough, and they become a bit stale, and you're like, oh, that's not a new song, is it? Because I heard it ages ago. But I'm still going to be releasing them in a big, like, you know, bang, bang, bang. Eddie's going to get hammering. We're going to do now, that's what I call Eddy. Eddie's going to get a hammering. So absolutely get on that. And to play us out, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Radar Machine to play us out. So I can't stop making new ones. Where's the fucking Radar Machine thing? Oh, we'll have that. That'll do instead. I can't stop making new ones. So you're going to have to get another new one before I even finish the previous album. I'm on to the next album. Because I'm prolific, baby. There's Edis. You've been good. Thank you all for the gifted memberships and for the donations and for being here. Yeah, you've been good. And if you can't be good, I'm going to download you on my £25,000 Radar Machine and record you onto a floppy disk, which would have been impossible.
Square discs, hard discs, dial-up discs. Let me touch your discs. My pile of floppy discs to record my lies. A $25,000 radar machine.
Bang!
Radar machine.
I'm a cat.
George told me to use audacity, the audacity to tell that lying lies I tell 1,000 times. Radar machine, radar machine. What does it mean to be a liar? What does it mean? Radar machine, radar machine. George Munujian sent me files in 1994.
Fact.
I had the world's most expensive computer. Ooh. Radar machine.
I done a murder.
Radar machine.
I done a murder.
Things that could not exist. I lied.
Fact.
Dick and fist.
Bang. I'm a
Radar
cat.
machine. Radar machine. What does it mean to be a liar? What does it mean? Radar machine. Radar machine.
Bang.
Do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts.
Same. The exact same.
I've just had a lovely cup of tea, the Bakewell tart. I've just had a lovely cup of tea, the Bakewell tart.
Sent me files in 1994. Oh, I had the world's most expensive computer. Radar machine. Radar machine. Things that could not exist. I lied. Dick and fist.
Now hold on, Lorraine. Now hold on, Lorraine.
What does it mean to be a liar? What does it mean? Radar machine. Radar machine.
Where's the fucking blonde whore with the fucking tits and a fishnet and a fishnet and a fishnet and a fish? Where's that fucking blonde cunt whore? Where is she? Where is she? Where's that fucking whore at?